odds move closer, but with a deepest red. Beneath them we look on. When they part comes the hatred they bring. Lost in the dark, we've come so far. Another step to rid the pain. Go and be counted till your last day. 'Cause only nightmares break their
Ladies, gentlemen, and everyone in that wonderful Technicolor rainbow in between, tonight is the AEL Finals. On the red side, we have Iridescent Dawn, Supernova, whose season started a bit rough, finishing their group at 2-2. Coming into the playoffs, they were definitely an underdog, but on their journey here to the finals, they have only dropped a single game to their own group's first seed in Elysium Super Hot, showing that they are here to play, but not only to play, but also to win. And on the blue side, we have Bing Chiller's Emerald, who after an undefeated streak in the regular season have had a much rougher time of it in the playoffs with multiple 5-game series, including one against the sister squad of Supernova in Iridescent Dawn Blast Cone. Will they be able to bring back that regular season dominance, or will Supernova get revenge for their sister squad and take home the chip for themselves? It's all decided tonight. Thank you all so much for being here. I'm What Too Pretty as always, and joining me tonight, we have a special guest stepping in to cast. It is Redacted. How you doing tonight, Redacted?
Hey, how's it going, Brittany? I'm doing pretty awesome. I'm doing pretty great. Happy to be casting the grand finals here of the Aegis Executioners League. I know quite a bit of the names here in this league, so honestly, it's like a little reunion, with old friends. So happy to see what games we get going today, and if these players are going to get yeeted or if they haven't changed in over the past like 3 years. Come on, guys.
Yeah, we've got a pretty stacked matchup tonight. Like I said, it's Bing Chillers, it's Iridescent Dawn, Supernova. They've had some great journeys to get here to the finals. And before we get there, even before we get to game one, we've got some pretty special announcements in our All Stars for the AEL. Do you want to take that one away?
I will. Starting off with our third team of all-stars, we have Andy Chef in the top lane, OP Kill Switch in the jungle, XBKP in mid, and Vortex Bot Griffin support for our third team. Moving on to the second team here. Woo! Rutledge in top, Worm Jones, Tough Daddy, All Gucci, and Court JJ. And can we get a drum roll for the first team, please? Our first team, AEL Winter All-Stars of 2024. We have Masuf in the top lane. Zhao PP, that boy do it again in the jungle. Nuffy's in mid lane, Incarcerated, and Alley Oops in the bot and support respectively. So congrats to all the players here for those all-star selections. I know you definitely earned it, and it's nice to be recognized by your peers.
Yeah, I think a lot of what I'm really happy with for the All-Stars voting this time around is we saw a lot of different teams represented throughout the course of those teams. And especially on that first team, looking at just that mid-jungle duo right there, it is not surprising that they ended up taking away that first seed team. It's just a little bit unfortunate to not see them here in the finals. Xiaopu and Nuffy's had a great season, and again, falling to Bing Chillers, I guess it's just going to be a matter of, did they lose to the tournament winners, or did they lose to the team that only lost to their sister squad?
Yeah, absolutely. It was not the expected outcome, the ID versus ID finals, the prophecy that we've wanted so much since literally, what, 2022 at this point now? They've been screaming that. Yeah, 2022, 2020, maybe 2021, but definitely 2022. Yeah, it still has not came to pass. So I guess it's just another year around where ID versus ID finals is the meme coined by the legendary Bubster himself. Still hasn't come to fruition though. But next up, we are going to have some few talking points before we get into the finals here. We're going to look at some of the stats of both of our teams here, Bing Chillers and ID Blasters. And we're going to start with the bot lane here, Brittany. So I'll let you go ahead and take that one off.
Yeah, we had to highlight the bottom lane matchup here tonight. There's a couple of names that you know well if you've been watching the AEL this season. Mystic and Goat Lista have been having some storied performances overall over the course of the season. And for some of their stats, it may not look like it. Like you can see the CS diff for Goat Lista is maybe not the best, but looking at the KDAs, looking at the CSG, it's just high numbers across the board. And you can tell that they've been having a hell of a time thanks to their supports as well. Obviously, I got to shout out the supports, but in general, they've been playing absolutely incredibly across the course of this season. And I think this is going to be the matchup to watch for tonight's rosters.
Okay. All right. Well, then, will the bot lanes be able to get it done or will they sink and fail? Only one way to find out once we get into game here. Our next stat here, it will be actually our team stats here. And just taking a look at these stats, by the way, these are like live stats, we're all just seeing them for the first time today. So no, I'm just looking at this right now and like both of these teams are actually pretty even in terms of stats, right? Like that doesn't mean that one is better than the other per se, but at least by stats wise, it looks like it's going to be a fairly even game according to the stats. Now, obviously,
Yeah.
in game, when we start to factor in mental, champ selection, meta, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, whole different ball game. But right now, on paper, it's looking like it might go 5.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody here is hoping for at least some good games, if not the whole 5-game series. But I do want to point out the average game length versus average KDA for both of these teams is something to, I think, to really look at over the course of this series. ID Supernova has the shorter game time and the higher KDA, which I think means they are playing a little bit more actively on the map. They're hunting down kills a little bit more. They're trying to play more aggressively in places like the side lanes, maybe a little bit of NA ramming here and there. But for the most part, they're playing more actively, more aggressively. They're looking to play a bit long, to play a bit shorter and look to end their games a bit quicker, as opposed to being chillers who are not as not as happy to like take the game that short. They are happier with a longer game. They want to play it out a bit more. They're more comfortable with their late game scaling, and I'm wondering how that's going to be affected in the draft, especially.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. Being chillers, as you said, looks like they take it just a little bit slower. I do want to say though, Brittany, I mean, based off those stats, I do agree with you, but it's not that big of a difference. Okay, maybe. Well, if you go by math, 3.86, you round up to 4, 3.2, you round up to 3. So you know what? You're right. I'm not even gonna go with my counterpoint that I had.
It's just that little bit different that I think
But
is going to be stylistically the difference.
but I am gonna say this though. You said, oh, ID might be the more aggressive team. They might be the team that actually looks to seek wins or more active, so they seek their wins quicker. Um, so then why did you not predict them to win? PBS, show the predictions. Why did you not predict them to win then, Brittany?
I have
Explain yourself.
I'll be real. I've been a member of the Big Chillers faithful for a little bit now. After watching their regular season and after seeing a lot of their playoffs games, I think they've been playing really well despite a lot of their games going to those 5-game series. I think they are a very strong roster that works really well together. Again, Go Listed and T-Lights in the bottom lane, I think, have been arguably, inarguably, one of the best bottom lanes over the course of this tournament. They've been playing so well together. And I think the predictions that you're seeing on screen really show it. It is a pretty big toss-up as to who's going to take it home tonight. I think it's really going to be a matter of these first 2 games. I think if Bing Chos can get one in, they're going to take it away. But if ID Supernova can start to snowball, I mean, they've only dropped 1 game throughout the entirety of the playoffs. Who's to say they don't just 3-0 it tonight, right?
Yeah, possibly. But I was looking once again. I am an emergency caster for anyone out there wondering why I'm even casting this, because we all know I mainly just do the podcast. But yeah, I filled in very last minute because I had the availability and I was just like, oh, hey, yeah, those are my people. Like, I know a lot of the names down there. So why not? I'll cast. I didn't realize it was the finals. So here I am. But anyway, yeah, it was much harder for me to predict who was gonna win. So I just went with the plot. And the plot right now is Shady Gecko is currently on his second finals back to back. BKP, I know that name as well. Everyone else, I'm not too sure unless your name changed. So I'm going with the plot. I'm going with the plot difference. I'm going with the plot technique, right? So Shady looking for a repeat. Filet used to dog him out, talking about he was a loser. He didn't win too much. I was putting on a little bit too much heat. I'm not gonna do that to my boy Shady. He's a champ now. He's got a couple of chips under his belt. A lot of people called him a vegetarian jungler, but it looks like eating your veggies gives you the strength to win. So I went with ID Supernova. I'm trusting in the Gecko. I'm trusting in BKP, and I think that they will be able to get it done. And of course, because this is amateur, I don't believe in 3-0s for the most part.
It's always just that little bit sloppy. Someone always drops
Exactly.
1 or 2 games somewhere.
Exactly. But you never know. Anything is possible. So that is my prediction, 3-1 for ID Supernova.
Yeah, and I mean, it's easy to see why you would take that prediction. Like I said, even though in the regular season they did struggle a little bit throughout the course of the playoffs, 1 game dropped over the course of 3 best-of-5 series is a hell of a record to look at. I mean, coming into the finals with that sort of momentum, with that sort of energy on your team, and just looking at that and saying, "Hey, we've got momentum. We've got what it takes to win. We already beat the first seed from our own group," which, looking at some of the records across the board and looking at some of the stats, might even have been the hardest group of all 4 of the AEL groups this season. It's not difficult to say that either of these teams would take it home. I'm siding with being Chillers because I've been coerced by the Chillers season. I've fallen for their propaganda, their fans. It might just be Chillers season this time around, but I could see it going either way.
Chiller season. I'm not gonna lie, it is a cool phrase, chiller season. Like, you can make that an ad. Civil, you can pay me my royalties later, okay? For that soundbite. But anyway, yeah, like, building chillers, we'll see if they're able to pull it out. Once again, I recognize a few of the names on that roster: Dr. Phil and Chill, known CCS talent, known talent around the amateur scene, Technics as well. And I've heard a lot of things about Goat Lista. So, obviously with a name like Goat Lista, like, you expect this person to be really good in their position as an AD carry.
I mean, you're going to be calling yourself the GOAT.
Exactly. AD carry as a role in particular as well this season has, what's the phrase I'm looking for? Has become more relevant once again. If, like, it feels like you have more agency in the role once again. So AD carries are able to obviously make an impact. So yeah, and the meta is a bit more, I don't want to say free, but it's a bit more open,
It's opened up a bit, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm pretty excited to see here. Oh, did you say something? Sorry. I'm pretty excited to see here our game 1 draft as we're waiting for both these teams to get into the lobby before we start this thing off.
Yeah, I think while we wait for the teams to get ready, as it seems like they're just getting into position, I do want to give a quick shout out to one of our sponsors tonight. For one of the last times for the AEL winter season, it's Coachify.gg. They are a tool that provides for esports coaches and managers. I'm going to just start that one from the top again. It's Coachify.gg. Agency Sports League of Legends is sponsored by Coachify.gg for our Winter 2024 split, which is coming to an end. My words are really good tonight. They're a tool for esports coaches that allow them to manage their teams and players while also finding new students. You can click on the panel located below the stream to check out their website for more information. Thank you so much, Coachify.gg, for sponsoring us for this season.
Coachify GG. So yeah, Brittany, what else do you want to talk about right now while we're waiting for these teams to get into draft? You know what? Let me ask you a couple of questions because once again, I'm the emergency caster. You've been casting for a majority of the season, so you're way more comfortable and knowledgeable than me. So I'm gonna flip it on you a little bit and ask you a couple of questions just so we can, get some more predictions and information for our viewers at home. So, out of both of these teams, which player do you think will be the most pivotal for their teams? Oh, we're getting our draft, so we're gonna wait for that timer though. But which player do you think is gonna be the most pivotal for their team success for both teams? Like, who is the linchpin for their team?
I mean, we already highlighted the bottom lane for both of these teams, so I have to say for both sides, it's going to be that bottom lane duo, whether it's Goat Lista and T-Lights or it's Mystic and his support. It's just a matter of who's going to enable their AD carry more. Like you said, for these past couple patches, AD carry pool has becoming a lot more open. It's being a lot more viable to be like flexed around picks and draft. We're seeing things like Kaisa and Saya start to come back into the meta. Zeri Lulu, Aphelios Lulu, Jinx is even being played in pro play a little bit. So these
Arcane coming soon.
carries. Arcane season 2. Can't wait for it. But that's beside the point. I think we're turning into very much an AD carry centric kind of meta where champions like, even though he got gutted, Smolder, it's still a champion that exists in League of Legends.
My boy.
You have champions like Zeri and Jinx that really do require you to draft a whole team composition around them. And I think both of these teams have done that very excellently throughout the entirety of their regular season and for a lot of their playoffs. So I think it is going to be very much about these AD carries. We've highlighted them before. It's going to be on Goatlista and Mystic to make the plays happen for their teams, or at the very least for their teams to play around them and to unlock them on the map.
Thank you, because I was gonna say, so like I do agree with what you're saying, and I hear you. But as we all know, once again, 80 carries are like the little engine that needs time to warm up. So, how about this? The first 15 minutes, what do you expect to see each team look to prioritize besides the bot lane?
I think if it's not the bottom lane, it's definitely got to be that mid jungle duo, because they're going to be the ones that are able to unlock those AD carries, allow them to play the game a little bit more smoothly. If you get that first 5-minute grub fight where you have your mid jungle duo online, you get that fight early, you're able to win it and start snowballing that momentum into the rest of the game. You can play off of that momentum really, really easily. It's just going to be a matter of how good is the communication between your mid jungle? How well are they playing today? Are they in the same headspace of like, okay, we're going to try and 2v2 here to look for a roam bot lane, or we're going to look for grubs, or we're going to look for dragon. And it's one of those like duo roles that people don't talk about as much. It really is like bottom lane and support. That's like, if you're going to duo in solo queue, those are the two that you want to do it with. But I would argue that mid jungle oftentimes is a lot more important and can really allow you to snowball and carry games a lot further. So I think in the early game, jungle pathing and mid lane roaming is really where we're going to be seeing a lot of the action.
Do you think a little bit of that died because of the map changes though this season compared to, you know, obviously seasons past? I mean, the maps made mid lane much wider and a lot safer, you know? So as much as, you know, people still talk about that mid jungle synergy, I feel like mid lane now is more laning prioritized versus roaming prioritized than it used to be seasons past.
Yeah, it's no longer just a shove in your wave and look to play for the map kind of role, which it used to be. Like when we were seeing Lissandra out into mid lane, it was just like, okay, you pushed your mid wave out, you know the enemy LeBlanc can't kill you, so you're just going to walk top or walk bot and try and win the game that way. Or, you know, solo queues, those Katarinas were just like, hey, I'm going to walk bot lane eventually and get a double kill, and then the game's over. We don't get to see that very much anymore, and honestly, thank you, Ryan. I appreciate that. Mid lane being a slightly safer role to actually play for themselves and play for a little bit of mid lane dominance is a good thing. But I do think it still means that the junglers have to be wary of how they get into mid lane. And I think for the most part, as much as we've gotten used to the map changes and we are getting like more adjusted to how the map looks different and how it feels, we still haven't discovered everything and all of like the perfect gank paths for mid lane, rotating paths through mid, around mid, and like even just on the map in general. But I think especially for early game in the mid lane, like you said, it's a lot safer, which means for junglers, it's a lot more difficult to make something happen there in the early game without your mid laner making the engage happen first.
Absolutely, and very great analysis there, Brittany. I really appreciate it. Looks like we are getting close to being ready for draft here. So my next question for you before we start draft, okay, yeah, I thought we were about to start, is what are some what are some picks that you think will be prioritized?
I do really want to see high priority on Zeri and Jinx, and mostly just AD carries in general. Like I said earlier, it is going to be a bottom lane centric game, I feel.
Yeah.
I think Zeri recently has gotten a lot of buffs. A lot of her items have been changed in very positive ways. She's just like, while other AD carries have been getting nerfed around her, she's just been slowly rising in priority. Like, hey, I'm still Zeri. I still have those Zeri moments where you leave me alone in a team fight and suddenly your whole team is just gone. And Jinx is always Jinx, so she's always going to be something that you have to keep an eye on. So I think the AD carries are going to be the priority for that in the bottom side. And perfect way to segue, we're jumping into the draft for game one.
Here we are, yes, as we have our first set of bans coming in here. Zach, Ash, Nico so far taken off the board. Nico, we have seen actually rise back into the meta, just somewhat recently. I say about 2 patches ago, you know, so definitely a pick to take off the board. Seraphine has literally not left like the meta since last year. It's been like a year now, right? At this point, maybe a year and a half.
I'm not sure she ever will, truly.
Yeah, like she's just always been a pick now that you have to consider and respect since literally a season ago. There you go, Brady. Jinx taken off the board. They do not want that in the hands of Goatlista there. So now we await Bing Chiller's first pick. What are we thinking they're gonna pick on B1? I'm curious.
There's a lot of potential strong picks here. Senna is still open and available. Like I said earlier, Zeri is still open and available. If they want to keep that flexibility, there's always mid and jungle, or something like the Brand, or Bing Chiller's that strong early game jungler.
That's a three-way flex, because technically I know Riot did buff Brand a bit, trying to get him back into the mid lane. Probably not gonna see that though, so it's possibly either a jungle or a support Brand. More than likely, I believe that jungle Brand. Technics, maybe Bing Chiller's pulling out a spicy draft here in game 1, but the Nocturne being locked. Oh, I lied. See,
yeah, they always flip it at 0 because 0 lasts for so long in draft lull, so you can just sit on that 0 for like 5 seconds and be like,
I made the caster sin. That's sure. I made the caster sin. I forgot to wait till it was locked in.
Yeah, Volibear is also something that is going to be pretty highly prioritized. He's just a good early game jungler. I personally don't have too much faith in him as a champion, but early game, you get a lot done. He's very simple to pilot and execute on. You run in a straight line in your enemy, and it's very difficult for them to play around, as I think Supernova are also going to lock in a part of their bottom lane with that Kai'Sa, who has been so strong recently with the versatility in her build paths.
Yeah, I hear Volibear kind of falls off a little bit once you get into that mid-game part. But yeah, Kai'Sa being locked in here, enabling her to get some of that killer instinct procs from the Volibear, from the stun. So I hope they look to maximize her ability to get through the other team to the backline as quickly as possible, as Gnar and Nyla locked in here for the Bing Chillers. So definitely we got some melee champs, but that means I would look for Bing Chillers to look for an enchanter in their next set of picks here, which means maybe ID Supernova will look to take something away that will enable that Nyla, since you believe you say the bot lane is so prioritized here for both teams.
Yeah, I do think one of the best things to pair it up with would have been this Taric that ID Supernova are going to take away. Not only does it work well with the Neela, just being able to latch onto her and be like, hey, Neela, dash forward and you get a free stun, enjoy your time. It also works really well against her as well, as it's a really good counter-engaged champion. You get to sit back and just watch Neela try and like sprint at you while you're just waiting for the Cosmic Radiance to tick down. But the Neela is a really interesting lock-in on this first rotation for Bing Chillers. I'm a little surprised to see it grabbed this early on. I would have thought for certain if they were going to grab the Neela, they would have paired it with their support going into that pick order, but they really wanted to prioritize the Gnar for Super Chase up there on the top side. So I'm curious what they're going to do with this early top lane priority and how they're going to play around it.
Yeah, absolutely something to be mindful of here, as we are seeing these mid lane bans come through. Ari, that is, Ari and Cassiopeia so far taken off the table. So yeah, BKP and Dr. Phil and Chill, both very stalwart mid laners, both very good mid laners that are able to lane pretty effectively, lane pretty well. So go ahead and just take some of those picks out of their hands, make them a bit uncomfortable. And especially Cassiopeia is a very stable BKP pick there. At the Malphite now taking off the board here from ID Supernova. So just one thing, yes, you want to take away from your opponent. That'd be a pretty easy champion to just dive onto a Neela, onto a Brand. So a nice ban there from the Bing Killers as ID Supernova locks in the Syndra here. So far their draft is very purple and blue. Which I like that. I like that they're staying to a color scheme.
Color coordination is important.
Exactly. You know, look, color theory is important. Y'all learn it. Trust me, it will take your fit game to the whole nother level. But besides the point, Syndra being locked in there for them tells me that there's going to be a lot of poke, a lot of stun. They're going to look for a lot of picks before they look to kill someone off here for ID Supernova, as the Zillion is now locked in for the Bing Chillers. So on the other side, the Chillers right now, their draft is looking like more of a Zillion's gonna do a lot of poking and speeding up people, possibly slowing them down. A lot of poke from the Zillion and Brand, and then when they find their mark or opportunity, Nyla and Xerath will hit the go button to all in and try and clean them up. Okay, Xerath being locked in here.
I really like the Zillion here for Mila. It's going to allow her to play a little bit psycho in her own way. Just like, you know, as soon as Zillion has level 6 and he has that chrono shift, Mila can just say like, all right, I'm going to run forward. If my team follows up, it's a win. But if they don't follow up, I'm kind of in trouble. But that's kind of what the chrono shift is for. If you don't have the team follow up, it's fine. You get a little bit of a reset. You have your team give them some extra time to jump onto you and give you that support. As ID Supernova are going to lock away that Cassante into the top side, guaranteeing that Volibear go into the jungle. And across the board, some pretty interesting picks. The Taric pick away from ID Supernova, the Neela lock in for Bing Chillers. Again, I think action in the bottom lane is what I'm expecting to see, but the early game junglers, both on the Brand and on the Volibear, like I was saying earlier, I think we're going to be expecting to see some action in the mid jungle as well.
Oh, absolutely. And yeah, I mean, both bot laners want to scale up, want to farm. So we probably won't see a lot of action there early. Lots of poke, but but I don't think we're going to see a lot of action that early into the game unless their junglers come to help them, especially the Kai'Sa Taric lane. They're definitely looking to just sit back and farm until level 6. And then that's when they'll look to strike for a kill opportunity. On the other end, though, like you said, on the top side of the map, expect to see this Cassante try and harass this Gnar as much as possible. I don't know how possible that will be, as the mini Gnar obviously does have the range. Yeah, exactly. Has the range advantage over him. So Cassante will look to try and play a little bit safe until his jungler comes to help him, that Volibear. So yeah, honestly, ID Supernova, in terms of like draft identity, more of a vegetarian, safe, early 15-20 minute game. You know, if Shady Gecko can make a gank happen, they will, but for the most part, they're looking to just scale. Expect to see neutrals, though, be very contested. If you're looking for early game team fights, it'll probably be at neutrals. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, Grubs and Dragon, I think, are going to be the way to go for both of these squads. I do worry about this Volibear in this particular draft. Like you said, a little bit more of a vegetarian style. They're sitting, they're scaling, they're happy to just like get to those level 6, level 11 power spikes and get powerful on those 1 to 2 items. But Volibear is a jungler who wants to have that early tempo, early aggression, wants to be playing for the map constantly, but doesn't have a lot that he's going to be able to play for unless he finds a Syndra stun in the mid lane, which against Xerath is not going to be super easy. Because in the bottom lane, you don't have a ton of engage unless Taric has flash and is able to catch Neela or Zillion unawares. And this lane is really safe in the early game. I worry for the Volibear's efficacy before he starts to fall off and starts to, you know, deal with the ramifications of, you know, being Volibear.
Exactly. One thing I do notice about the Bing Chillers draft, because I feel like we haven't given them as much analysis compared to Supernova, is starting off, their draft is a lot more glass cannon. So they definitely have to be more precise and a bit more careful with the neutral objectives, particularly because once again, you have basically 3.5 champions that can stun you: Cassante, Volibear, Syndra, Taric. So you got to be very careful at these neutral objectives here. But luckily, they do have lots of poke. So if they get to the neutrals first, they can definitely poke away the ID Supernova team. So just something for them to be mindful and aware of. But I'm pretty excited for both of our teams here as we wait for the spectator delay now. Hopefully it doesn't boom on us as we get into game 1. So Brittany, how do you do it here? Do you I mean, we already predicted series score, but do we want to predict games? Like,
we've done our predictions. We've talked about the draft. We're just going to be waiting to hop onto the rift for game 1 of ID Supernova versus Bing Chillers. So don't go anywhere. After a short break, we'll be right back. We are back here for game one of Big Chiller's Admiral versus ID Supernova. A banger draft into what is hopefully going to be a banger game one. Looking across the board, I'm seeing some interesting choices. Ghosting Cleanse on Neela is not something I normally see. Normally it's on something like a Nunu, but hey, you know what? I'm going to trust the GOAT that he's got it figured out in the bottom lane.
Yeah, absolutely. We were kind of talking about this. Oh, hold on. We're getting some poke action going on already, Brittany.
Gecko actually losing a lot of his HP in this early game. That brand passive putting in the work, giving Technics that electrocute proc. Andy Chef has rotated over, but I don't know if the level 1 Cassante is going to do too much. Technics is just... I think he wanted to put down a ward, but he didn't. Actually, I'm a little confused about that one, but... You know, Supernova seems to think he put a ward down, so maybe it's just there to bait the sweeper. They'll never know.
No one will never know. No one will know. But yeah, before all the shenanigans started, Brittany, yeah, we were taking a look at the runes here, and like you said, the most interesting one was Goat Lista's the Ghost Cleanse. But like we said off air, I mean, based off their draft, Nyla and Goat and Nar, are the only champions that are pretty much going all in. So, I mean, for Goat Lista, it's pretty much do or die. You go in, you get the movement speed, you can maybe cleanse one stun or, you know, disabling movement spell here, and hopefully you can get your ultimate off to set your team up for some success. But yeah, Flash, not really the most... I mean, Flash is always a good rune, but
yeah,
I mean, for Neela, it's like, what's the point?
Yeah, and Ghost is, as some people have argued, a little overtuned. Currently, it is still 15 seconds from when you just press the button to go, and I don't know if you know this, Redacted, but 15 seconds in League of Legends is a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So you can just turn that button on, and there's no real punishment for like doing it too early. So you can just, as long as like you're pretty sure a button is like a team fight is about to start, you push the button and you're ready to go.
Yeah, absolutely. As we see our first ping on the map here, like you said, Brittany, mid jungle duo, gonna look to possibly think that Xerath as
Dr. Kill and Chill. There's the lightning flash forward for Shady Gecko. Not stun still is from BKB.
Oh, come on.
That last on BKB takes the first blood of the series.
You said it, Brittany. Jungle mid synergy in the early game, because bot lane is going to be a nap. And it happened just like that. Shady Gecko, the vegetarian jungler, showing his teeth 2 minutes into the game.
Yeah, a nice aggressive flash there from Shady Gecko. You're happy to trade flash for flash, especially with someone like a Xerath, who now you know, next time you come in for a gank, if Syndra catches him with the stun, it's a little Jover for him.
Did you say Jover?
A little Jover, you know.
It's Dr. Philly Chill is done once again. Oh man, you know, the more I look at ID Supernova's draft, the more I'm just like disgusted by all the CC they have. Like, you see CC in the bot lane, there's CC in the mid lane, CC in the jungle, CC in the top lane. Literally, it's a CC slog. So obviously, I'm not trying to spell doom and gloom for the Bing Chillers just yet. I'm just saying what they have to be very mindful of here. And taking a look at the mini map here, looks like Bing Chillers may look for a counter gank of their own.
Yeah, we got Technics up there on the top side. He's popped the Ghost alongside Andy Chef, but I think the man is just dead. Auto down. He's got shield on though. He might actually just be able to survive. Shady Gecko in the meantime, under tower in the mid lane, gonna be forced to walk away. He doesn't have the health to tank up that tower for much longer. And somehow those gank victims will survive the exchange.
That is crazy, especially more so for the Cassandra, who got away with a sliver, literally a sliver of health. Unfortunately, he did have to expend both his summoners, the Ghost and Teleport, now used to get back into lane. So Cassandra, summoner spell list top laner here. Thank you. I'm once again shaking the rest off. But yeah, so expect to see Technics look to come up to the top side of the map once again to try and abuse that ID top laner there.
Yeah, and something I realized as there's been a lot of scrapping, for this bottom lane between T-Lights and Goatlista, there is so much XP sharing going on. You have the Neva passive of whenever she lasts hits a minion, both of them will get bonus XP as long as they're standing in the same AoE, and Zillion levels up his allies with extra XP, so how quickly are they going to be able to hit level 6 as they're already level 5? The Mystic and Spartans are still sitting on 4.
Yeah, maybe they big brained all of us. That was actually a great analysis there, Brittany. I totally forgot about the Zillion passive because it's a champion I haven't seen in a while. As we see Supernova here already working on the Cloud Drake, Tights just harassing them a little bit, but Chiller's not too worried about that Drake. It's only Drake number 1 at this point. So back to normal across the map here, but I wonder who will look to make the first play at the Void Grubs.
Yeah, level 6 is hit for both those top laners, which means that Gnar online for Super Chase. BKP also having that level 6, and hey, there's the level 6 for Gutlist on the bottom side, as Andy Chef just gonna get tossed away as Super Chase is about to lose his Mega Gnar form, so just get that ulti down. The cooldown, real talk, is criminally low for how good that ultimate is. It's really just gated by how often Super Chase can actually get into Mega Gnar.
Yeah, as we see Dr. Phil and Chill placing a ward there on the river. Got some pings from Shady Gecko for the Void Grubs. TP now used by Super Chase on that top lane. Gnar back to face his enemy in the Cassante. Technics looking to get some of these grubs, but Shady Gecko has smelt him out. Will we have ourselves a little kerfuffle here on the top side of the map? It's looking like it might be a yes. Gecko and Supernova.
Yeah,
just gonna give it.
Just happy to, I think he's happy to just have Smote away 1. Guarantee that there's not going to be any sort of 6 grubs going over. He knew Super Chase had that priority on the top side, so with Gnar potentially coming up to Mega pretty soon, they don't know the full cooldown on that ultimate just yet. It's about 2/3 done already, but you don't want to risk a fight over just these early 3 grubs. It's not going to be the most impactful this early into the game, as long as you can guarantee deny the 6, and if you can contest the next 3, you can deny 5, which means no little void mites hitting your turrets, and overall you're pretty happy about that one.
Goatlista here playing a bit brazenly right in the face of Spartans and Mystic without his support.
He's got the Veil. He's just fine. You know, Neela, enters the defensive stance and can't get auto attack. She's pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess that does give him a bit more agency to play a bit more in your face, but needs to be careful about when he does those brazen plays there. And there's some more experience coming through, Brittany. Goatlista now level 7 to Spartans level 5 and Mystics level 6 here. So big brain played in the bot lane so far. Now, if only they could once they get some more items on there, if nothing else happens here, they might start looking to capitalize on this level advantage.
Has to be really careful here.
Oh no, he should know.
Nearby. There was no auto coming out from the brush, so he's gonna finally put down that ward. A nice Gnar into the wall to get 2. He wants to just go for the kill. And the Andy Chef, though, the Gnar comes in, the brick comes through, but he can't find the damage. And it's just a little bit too tanky on Cassante. He's able to walk away from the play. And now
BKP's roaming.
Super Chase and Shady Gecko, but BKP comes in, he'll pick up the second kill. In the meantime, on the bottom side, Spartans trying to get that Cosmic Radiance down. He'll be a little bit tankier, too tanky for Goatlista and T-Lights to deal with. And the ulti's burned in the bottom side. That Apotheosis out for Goatlista alongside both summoners. But it's ending up in a favor of the ID Supernova side again.
And I just want to say, I do like the fact that Bing Chillers tried to make a play on Andy Chef up there. I thought, for some reason, I thought the Boomerang would suss out Shady Gecko, but I guess not. So therefore, Super Chase wasn't aware that the jungler was there, and he couldn't back off in time. So therefore, he was then punished. Luckily, Chef was able to get out due to BKP roaming up there and taking a kill. That's a 2-0 Syndra now. If I can just get a shard check on the Syndra so far, because remember, she does scale with those shards as well. So
1 currently. She is getting there at 10 minutes. That's not bad. I know 60 is her next active point, but Technics is going to pop that ghost in the mid lane. BKP just gets slowed. He's going to be forced to flash away as now on the bottom side, T-Lights just going to eat the stun. I think Spartans is just zoning him off, but he might be zoning a little bit too hard, as there's that right of the arcane spark. He's going to be forced to flash away. Shots land, but it's not enough damage onto this Taric early on, but some cooldowns burned for IDS.
Gecko scared me there. I thought he was gonna go in when he saw his bot lane backing off. I was like, no, what are you doing? But luckily, I guess he also recognized that was not the play to do. And luckily for Spartans, only his flash blown, so just something to be mindful of, as the next Drake is spawning in 30 seconds here. It will be an Ocean Drake, so neither a Cloud Soul or Ocean Soul for our players here in game 1.
Now, if I know the AEL, we love our Chemtech Souls here, as obviously it is one of the most impactful and most well-utilized souls in the whole game. So obviously, I think in our first game of the finals, it's got to be a Chemtech Soul, surely.
You know, if that happens, that will be very hilarious, because then it's like, I wonder if Riot is reading the IDs of these players and realize, okay, these guys play every week at this day, like, let's make it somewhat consistent or something, right? You know, that's too much for a small indie company. What am I talking about here?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes they can't even get the spectator right, as Andy Chef is going to get a little potential engagement on the bottom side. Apotheosis coming through from Goat Lissa. It's going to force a flash out Mystic. Tactics was in a position to potentially punish.
I think
down there.
I think Golista engaged a bit too quickly, but I mean, it's still a net positive for them. Oh, sorry.
Maybe Chef, maybe trying to go under tower here on the top side. Super Chase is getting aggressive with him, but ulti's traded for ultis. It's just health bar actually in favor of the Cassante. The champion is a hell of a drug.
Yeah, so like I was saying, I think the bot lane trade was a net positive for them because they were able to blow Mystic's flash, and therefore
top lane.
Yep.
Super Chase may be in trouble. He's going to get that. He's going to jump out of his own tower range, but I do not think he's going to be escaping this one. They're going to try and dirty the kill over to Andy Chef, I think, and give him that last hit. He's just being walked up, but Shitty Gecko finally tired of this annoying little rat jumping in front of him, so he's just going to take a bite out of crime.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, they're trying to give it to the Cassante, but Cassante does not have the enchanted boots there, giving him not as much movement speed as Gecko, unfortunately. So yeah, like you said, Gecko took a bite out of crime and put the Euro back into the gray screen, as Technics is now poaching some jungle that doesn't belong to him, but he'll be a-okay and just retreat back to his base.
Yeah, and with Technics being spotted on the bottom side, that's just going to mean a guaranteed 3 grubs off that second spawn for ID Supernova. Not only do they deny the 5, they get 4 themselves. So if they're able to get some pressure on these turrets, if they're able to take some plates in the next minute or so, gotta be pretty happy with how that outcome went.
Yeah, absolutely there, Brittany. Sorry, I was clearing my throat. 13 minutes into the game, some players are finally getting some gold here off the chip damage from the towers.
Oh, go let's go bottom side. We use that Apotheosis on the Mystic. Will immediately get back Killer Instinct out.
Cleanse.
The cleanse is out. There's that Chrono Shift. The exhaust is low from Spartans, just to say, get the heck off my ADC. It's just a lot of summoners being burned every time on the bottom side, but nobody dies.
I like Golista, what he's doing on this Nyla. I like what I'm seeing. Obviously, no one has died yet, but I like the combat we're seeing in the bot lane. So far, though, it feels like an unstoppable object versus immovable wall. The immovable wall being the ID Supernova bot lane, and the unstoppable object being obviously chillers. So maybe one of these will give us the Nar and Cassante continue to battle up here in the top lane. Just a repeat though of the harass. We see lots of pings though now coming out on the top side of the map. BKP and Gecko. Looks like Gecko working on the Rift Herald now, I believe. Hopefully BKP can keep the Xerath in lane, and which will allow Gecko to just get that Rift Herald unnoticed. So for the time being, I think he should be fine, as we see Technics on the bot side of the map. There might be a potential dive here onto the Kaisa.
Yeah, Kaisa does have to be very careful. You can see as Liz spotted out onto that ward, they're immediately just going to move away from their tower, pop some vision down. They do not want to get caught out by this brand, who they've actually done a pretty effective job of keeping behind in this game, despite the fact that I say that as he's up like 40 CS. I'm going to justify this as Brain is someone who wants to get these kills in the early game, wants to pick out some greedy members, pick up some people who are still balling, as Andy Chef is going to whiff entirely on the top side. Super Chase is just happy
Gecko and BKB are here though.
out, but Gecko is here. He's got that Stormbreaker as well. Nice stun under the tower.
No.
It's about to be turned off.
Yikes.
Stun under the tower. BKB is up here yet again. On the tower. Says goodbye, and Gnar. Bullied again in the top side. BKB picks up his third.
So, you know what's funny, Brittany? I mean, I still believe you that, like, as we get later into the game, these teams will prioritize their bot lane, but the early game has been all about the top side of the map and a little bit of the mid, but mainly the top side. Like, they have decided we are planting a tent onto Super Chase, and that's where we're gonna live. And you know what? At the same time, sorry, one last thing. At the same time, BKP benefits because he has three kills.
He's gotten nearly every single kill out of these top side exchanges.
It's a win-win.
On the bottom side, it's just like, hey, we're playing Kai'Sa Taric. As long as Bing Chillers don't get like super far ahead, and granted they have taken a turret, there is a what I thought was a sizable goldie is actually a slight like 100 gold in favor of Mystic. As long as Bing Chillers aren't getting like super far ahead, and the Diva has not, she has not been able to play this game very much at all over the course of the game. You can see every time you pan that bot lane, it's Golista trying to pop and engage with Apotheosis, trying to make something happen, but engaging versus Taric Kai'Sa is just such a chore. How do you actually manage this? Hang on, Andy Chef. I don't know if that's the last can you wanted. The teleport's coming through from Super Chase as well. It looks like they're trying to like all in on this pick. Super Chase has the Mega. Spartans is over the wall. He's gonna get noticed, but Super Chase doesn't throw the Gnar on him just yet. Wants to save that one as this dragon is up in just a couple of seconds. They're trying to save that cooldown for this objective.
Question I wonder ID Supernova is going to answer is, how bad do you want this Drake? It's only Drake number 3. It is a mountain Drake. They've just launched Rift Herald here, so they're now forcing Bing Chillers to make a decision as Syndra.
Ooh.
Oh,
Gecko forced to flash away as BKP does a little bit of driving school there. Has to lose his flash actually in that mid lane to make sure he doesn't get caught by the members of the Big Chillers. In the meantime, Aegis Supernova have managed to get themselves priority back on this dragon. They're going to start clearing away some of the vision here. It's a bit of a roundabout here as Big Chillers will finally reclaim themselves priority on this river. Andy Chef gonna eat a bit of poke, but the calls of Blitz split here. Super Chase and the bottom side wants to start the dragon, but Technics is happy to just continue to lay down poke. He wants to play aggressive into this front line and chip down some of their HP before they engage.
They're giving it.
But instead, it's just going to be, yeah, like you said, ID Supernova saying, nah, we don't need this dragon. We're just going to walk away and gift it over to Big Chillers.
Yep, absolutely. And like I said earlier in the draft there, Brittany, remember, Golista, Bing Chillers, if they get to the neutral objectives first, they can poke the ID Supernova team out and away from these neutrals, and that's exactly what they did. So ID Supernova, for them, if Bing Chillers are already there, you're gonna have to basically commit, okay? Go in with the Taric ult, start the fight off, because you have a little bit of poke with the Syndra, but Syndra and Taric are like your only poke. Kai'Sa's not building AP, or she is building AP. Okay, never mind. I lied.
She's doing the LS build where you go Manamune into Luden's Companion into Krebs Bloom. You get your Q evolve and your W evolve, and you're just so damned annoying by pressing W from halfway across the screen. It does so much damage.
Then never mind then. Throw that entire point that I was making away and wait till we're about 25 minutes into the game, because then it's going to be a poke fest and neutral objectives between both teams. But once again, the easier point for ID Supernova will be when they decide to go all in, like now.
JD Gecko wants to find Golista. He's got that Apotheosis though. Plenty of safety on this Neela. Andy Chef's going to go all out, trying to get some punish down. The Cosmic Radiance will keep them safe from the Raid of the Arcane for now, but Andy Chef now maybe the one in trouble. It's a nice Q3 onto 2 members of Bing Chillers. And once again, somehow everyone survives. I want some blood. Yes, Technics, kill him. No, Spartans has Flash. He's going to live.
Remember when they did the durability patch? It looks like it looks like it's really coming in strong here for both of these teams, since no one was able to go down, but the gold lead is still about 2k in favor of ID Supernova. I'm seeing some opinions in the chat there as well, saying if ID play like they have brains, this should be their win here. And honestly, I gotta agree with them. I mean, as the game gets later and longer, it's just going to be a bit harder for the Bing Chillers to, in my opinion, stand toe-to-toe with ID Supernova.
JD Gecko's here for the punish. Tactics is here as well. It's a 2v2 on this bottom side of the map. BKP is just going to look for the burst. Unleash power into the jungler. Goodbye, Technics. Hello, Fed Syndra. BKP has 4.
Yeah, BKP with a 4-0 KDA now. Looking at that gold on this Syndra, oh my goodness, 8,400 to 6,100 compared to his counterpart. How many stacks does the Syndra have as well? Dr. Phil and Chill, now the next victim here for BKP. He's looking for that another chance to poke. Will not be able to get it. But yeah, at this point here, ID Supernova, they're doing pretty well. Let's just play, you know, play a bit smart, bit safe. I think as of right now, this game is theirs. You know, this game is definitely in their favor. Bing Chillers are not out of it just yet, but it is slightly ID favored here in game 1, as Baron is now up and Andy Chef sees T-Lights by himself, but he does have that speed up.
Yeah, Andy Chef is going to be fine here, but I do agree. I think the ID Supernova comp is just that little bit easier to execute on. They have their simple go buttons in Volibear ult and in just Tarek saying, hey, I'm going to ult. When they start the fight, we're going to win, as BKP already has the tech cap as his second item. This Syndra is so strong, man. I'm trying to think about how any of the members of Bing Chillers actually get access to this Syndra. How can they, like, find her to get a pick on her? And aside from Super Chase having like a godlike flank TP where he can wait for Syndra to use stun and then jump on her, toss her into the team, I'm not really seeing a way.
The lag. Did you say lag?
I'm not seeing a way that they can like actually manage to get an engage on her.
Oh, sorry. I was like, wait, we're lagging? Where? I was so confused. I'm sorry. All right, so Mountain Drake coming up in about 40 seconds here. Obviously, we know both teams really want it. You know, for the side of Bing Chillers, it would help giving them a bit more durability since they are more of a glass cannon draft. And obviously for the side of ID, you have some tanky boys over there, so it'd be really great to just have even more stats. Oh my god, Dr. Phil and
Chill is nearly dead. There comes that second W from Mystic. He's got that Luden's Companion in inventory, so that W is evolved. We're gonna start seeing some healthy chunks come out of the members of Bing Chillers. Now the impetus really is on this Bing Chillers composition to hit their go buttons and find and engage before they lose all of them from Mystic, as just Void Seeker after a Void Seeker lands. He's finally gonna miss one and force that on the longer cooldown, but Tactics is already 1 HP. Control of the Dragon Pit is already in ID Supernova's pocket. I don't think there's a way that Brand can get into this pit and try and find his kill.
Poke Kaiser is back, baby.
Burn over the wall, Smite comes through, Shitty Gecko will find it. There's the right of the Arcane, just looking for some damage over the top, but like you said, Pokegeist is back. Technics, hang on.
Ooh,
Maybe has found her. She's gonna have to be forced to flash away and dash away. Super Chase wants to find his engage. Shady Gecko now picking out Super Chase, forcing him away off of that blast count. Nadeshot in the meantime up in a 1v4. A nice unstoppable. He's through the Gnar. Now Gecko wants to continue the fight in earnest, but it's a nice W there from Goat Listen to keep him away. But Andy Chef, you see him on the bottom of your screen, starting to flank. He wants to find these members with the chunks again and again. Mystic just does so much damage on this Kaisa.
Are they going to Baron?
They might.
Do they Baron this?
Or, I mean, Super Chase is up in 20 seconds. They know he doesn't have TP. Andy Chef can do a decent job zoning off the members, and even with this AP-ish build, Mystic does a good amount of damage to the Baron just because of Kaisa's passive.
Absolutely. And yeah, Brittany, I don't even know if I have a chance to talk completely about that dragon fight because we have another one right here.
He has that chrono shift on him very early from T-Lights, just making sure that Goatlista can't get engaged on by Andy Chefs. The Baron's going to get lower and lower. Technics doesn't have his own ult. Smite's available for both junglers. It is going to go over to Shady Gecko now. That Conjuring is coming down on top of Andy Chef just to make sure that he doesn't die. Nice stun, but it's just unstoppable from Andy Chef. They're going to be able to walk away with all 5 members. Poke be damned, damage be damned. ID Supernova are just too tanky.
They B3 the Nyla and then ID took the Tarek. That was great. That was a great decision in their draft. Great decision.
Mhm.
Shady Gecko, I'm sure he uses that app of his, that program of his, because I know he's like the draft coach. He's always talking about it. He's always so, or maybe he had some coachify lessons, who knows. But yeah, I'm really loving this ID Supernova draft. From 2 fights ago when they were fighting over that Mountain Drake, the poke is online here for ID Supernova. It's gonna just be so much harder for Being Chillers to walk up. They need to try and obviously poke out being ID Supernova as much as possible, but it's so much harder when you have a 4-0 Syndra in your face and a Kai'Sa's throwing W's from literally halfway across the map. So
Yeah, I mean, how do you engage into a Fed Syndra and into a Taric and into a Kai'Sa who, while not being hyper-fed, is sitting on 2.5 items? She's building full poke. She's going to press W on you, and before you even get to engage, you're half HP.
yeah, and now with that Baron, I really liked how they took that Baron. They thought they were gonna fight. Oh, it's BKP. We'll have to flash. So
Plasm. It's gonna do a little bit of damage on the BKB, but he doesn't have enough burn. A one-shot this Syndra just yet. It is just that the injuries rivalized for Technics, so not a real like huge amount of damage. Just a lot of like annoying burn over time.
absolutely. And as we take a look at the gold lead as well, about a 5k gold lead in favor of ID Supernova here. They're slowly whittling down these towers. Andy Chef might have to be a bit aware. He knows something's going on because his team has backed up, so the map has started to disappear. Like, okay, where are the rest of the chillers at? I gotta make sure I stay warm. Don't let the chiller seasons catch me. And at this point now of the game, I feel like for ID Supernova, all they need to do is just keep poking, especially at these neutral objectives, then look for use that Terco either offensively or defensively, and just rinse and repeat until you get to the Nexus. For Being Chillers, it's a much harder road on.
Yeah, speaking of a much harder road, goodbye, Dr. Phil and Chill. A second ago, he was alive and no longer, as BKP is a level 16 Syndra, and it turns out she does quite a bit of damage. Super Chase and Andy Chef are going to trail on the bottom lane. There gets to a certain point in every game where one team has a lead, where it becomes not about how can the team that's losing find a win, but it becomes more about like, how can the team that's ahead find a way to lose, really?
Yep.
As Andy Chef is going to go all in the bottom lane. Look for the solo kill on a Super Chase!
Over.
Super top Andy Chef gets it done as he's going to get collapsed on by 3 members of Big Chillers. I think they're going to be able to find their first kill here. At the very least, they should, as Mila will grab her first of the game. But in the meantime, their base is being decimated.
Yeah. BKP is literally, nobody can see him in a 1v1 at this point as more fights continue.
Oh, there's that right of the arcane. Look for the damage on the force. They got the snipe before the Cosmic Radiance comes down. Now Shady Gecko forced to try and run away, but it is a Leandry's brand. He's gonna be forced to use that ulti to get over the wall and get out of Technic's range. The low health brand doing wonders in that fight. They managed to keep their own turret alive. They don't lose that inhib at the top side either. So
Mystic, what are you doing?
keep it alive. Mystic, I think, is just having to play a little bit aggressive here, look for some poke. He's playing no vision, though. It's a little dangerous, but it looks like Pink Chillers are really, really aggressive onto this dragon. But in the meantime, Shady Gecko and BKP are just having to push away at this base.
Absolutely. Mystic over here trying to poke. So we have a TP coming through, but they've already taken the Drake. This Kai'Sa.
Oh, there's that. Shirelli is looking to get aggressive. Gets over the wall again with the Killer Instinct. Nor tries to get her back, but it's a huge push from Andy Chef, keeping his team safe. BKP finds their 6th kill of the game, as now the Big Chillers are forced onto the retreat. Andy Chef wants to chase them down, but the poke and the damage is just a little bit too high. They're going to be forced away. Big Chillers, they managed to get the dragon, but losing your top laner for it and losing priority on the next objective is not going to feel very great.
Dread it. Run from it. Gecko still arrives, and ID Supernova are just scorching all over the Chillers right now. What Mystic did was that was some nice trickery, because I thought he used this Killer Instinct, but that was his flash, and then he used the Killer Instinct to position himself back towards his team when the Chillers thought they had an easy kill on the AD carry, and that completely fumbled the rest of their tactics there, and yeah, they just lost the fight. So now Chillers, they just find themselves at the hill is just getting steeper and steeper here, and I'm finding it very difficult to speak on other ways how the Chillers can get back into this game, without sounding too biased in favor of ID Supernova here.
Yeah, it's like what I mentioned earlier. I think at this point the game truly is in ID Supernova's hands entirely, and it's going to be about the mistakes they make and how big. Alone in the silent versus BKP. I don't think you're gonna make that one work. He got close, and if Shady Gecko wasn't there with his Night's Vow, maybe that's a lot closer, but BKP's a little bit too fast.
That type of play tells me everything I need to know. The Chillers have basically, they know this game is a wash. I'm gonna say it now. I don't have shame saying that. This game is a wash. Game one definitely is going to ID Supernova, and that was Goat Lista limit testing, trying to see if like, hey, I can kill the Syndra. That is a, what is that, a 5-0 Syndra? A 6-0 Syndra with a Rabadons and a Void Staff. You are not him, blood.
I think he got very close. I think with some of the damage reduction from that Jubilant Veil, there was a potential there to find that 1v1. The Apotheosis getting a lot of healing done. And again, if Shinigeko wasn't there, that's maybe a 1v1. And for how far apart these two are in terms of how fed they are, that's a little disgusting. I don't know if that should be legal.
Yeah, absolutely. And at this point now, ID Supernova with their second Baron, barreling down the mid lane. BKP able to side lane on his own, while Andy Chef plays Boogeyman in the jungle here. Peekaboo.
He likes to spawn him out on the sweep and just throw the bomb at him and say like, hey, you stay away, you get away from my team, buddy. You know, Zillion as an old man can only be like so scary, whereas Andy Sheffy's a level 17 Cassante, and I don't know if you've heard the Showmaker copy pasta recently, but that champion is very strong, as BKP is maybe punishing the side lane. Andy Sheff is going to do a decent job protecting him, but there's that right of the arcane. BKP, the Leander's putting in work. He's going to take a lot of damage, but Dr.
This is a 2v5, by the way.
Doesn't have the damage. Andy Sheff, in the meantime, taking
2v5.
4 members onto the front line.
Actually, a 1v5, really.
Giving a damn. As the rest of the members of ID Supernova are just going to start sieging down the base. They've got a Baron in their inventories. They're just happy to walk down these objectives. There goes that first inhibitor. The second one should be soon to follow.
Oh,
and like you said, I think this one is going to be in the pockets of ID Supernova. As damn, Mystic does a lot of damage.
Okay, so since we know the game is practically in ID Supernova's hands here, let me ask you this, Brittany, so we can get ready for our Game 2 draft. What do we change for Bing Chillers?
Maybe you don't let BKP get hyperfed in the mid lane. I don't know. You just don't give him a bunch of kills in the early honest. I don't know. Like in the early game, it was really Shinigeko just getting him fed as that first Nexus turret will go down. The second one's soon to fall, and
sheesh.
Yeah, it's a nice attempt at an engage from Super Chase, but he's going to be popped into that Resurrect immediately. Shinigeko is going to slam down on top of T-Lights with that Stormbreaker. And ID Supernova, in what is a boringly dominant fashion, are going to take game 1.
ID versus ID finals, baby. Not really, but Supernova is here to avenge their fallen ID brethren. And you know what? I actually like the play on words. Supernova, being Chillers, Chiller season, fire, ice.
Okay. He's cooking.
You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? But let's analyze the game here, right? Honestly, the only thing I'm gonna say about the Chillers draft is if you're going to draft Glass Cannon, I feel like you need to be more active way earlier in the game. But that's kind of hard to do with, I mean, not really. You have a Nyla, a Xerath. You have so much poke. I feel like Technics should have tried cut his losses, right? Like Super Chase is being camped. Whatever. Sorry, bro. I'm gonna go get Xerath and Nyla fed, okay?
Sometimes you just gotta take the L. Somebody has to be weak side.
Exactly. So like, I think he should have cut his losses and looked to try to get his more pokier champions ahead, like BKP and Gecko were doing. Well, BKP was more like cleaning up the kills that were happening on the top side of the map, but a win is a win, right? So yeah. Just something I think that Chillers need to think about going into their Game 2 draft if they're gonna do something like this.
Yeah, I do think, like you said, the sort of glass cannon draft is a bit concerning coming from the Bing Chillers. They wanted to play that early game aggressively. They wanted to get those leads, but like you said, it was Shady Gecko on the ball here. That first gank in mid lane, flash trading with Dr. Phil and Chill, and just making that lane feel near unplayable for the Xerath as BKP just picked up kill after kill after kill and got farther and farther ahead.
Mm-hmm.
It was a disgusting look for ID Supernova as they take the win in game one. We're going to cut to a short break while we hop into the draft for game two. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with some more AEL Finals action.
Tell me where do I go? Tell me where do I take us? Your heart is starting to slow. May the water be safe. As I dive in, blood stains wash underneath the waves. I'll be reaching out to kiss your face. As we fall, I can't hold on much longer. We're drifting down to the other side. Try to pull us under. Keep holding out for the other side. Tell me where do I go? Tell me where do I take? Where do I go? Tell me where do I take? Your heart is starting to slow. May the water be safe. Where do I go? Tell me where do I go? Tell me where do I take? Where do I go? Tell me where do I take? Your heart is starting to slow. May the water be safe. As we fall, I can't hold on much longer. We're drifting down to the other side. Try to pull us under. Keep holding out for the other side.
And we are back here for game two of ID Supernova versus Bing Chillers Emerald. I'll say it again, it was a boringly dominant game one. Not a lot of blood, but a lot of dominance from ID Supernova as they took away game one. And we're hopping straight into the draft here for game two.
Absolutely, and looks like we do have a bit of different sides. Being Chillers electing to be on the red side here, so ID Supernova on the blue side. And look at these bans here. Zach and Kaisa taking off the board. Nico Twitch so far for the Supernova squad. So the picks definitely are changing, at least for Supernova based on side so far. Twitch was not banned last time. Neither was the Gragas. Zach and Kaisa. The Kaisa pick, I wonder if some of these I wonder if some of these are reactionary bans or just more because of the side, you know, like that's one thing I kind of like. I'm just like, okay guys, is it really a problem or you just don't want to play against it that bad? Was your draft, you know?
We saw how much damage Mystic did in that game. We saw the amount of poke that he was able to do in that mid game. That Kaisa build is disgusting. But with the banning of the Kaisa and the Volibear, that means Jinx is fully up and available, and it is going to be picked away by ID Supernova on the blue side. But in the meantime, on the red side, One of the highest win rates in the AEL caught that one from the podcast. It's Sarah Queen, CEO of the LCS, alongside Rek'Sai, which I think is going to head up to the top side for Super.
I was like, that's what I was wondering. I was like, is this a top Rek'Sai? Because we haven't seen Rek'Sai in literally like a year and a half. Like, I haven't seen this champion actually in a really long time. But all of a sudden, we saw it being played in the LEC on the top lane. So I am going with that notion right now that it is going to be a top lane Rek'Sai. As we've seen the Ornn hover here, actually now the Ornn locked in. Excellent. Yes, if you're gonna draft a Jinx, you got to make sure you have her Secret Service detail in order to protect her.
You are drafting Jinx on your first pick. You have to make sure that every single other pick in your draft is around this Jinx, whether it is another carry threat to make sure that she is not fully focused in terms of backline threats, or you want a beefy meatball who's going to keep her safe in the front line, like Braum, for instance. And I do also like this Braum as a pick away and make sure that the Ornn doesn't have someone who's just going to block away that ulti on the bottom side of the map. Braum is one of those soft counter picks in the bottom side, just to make sure that the Ornn doesn't let his ult get through. Now, talking about it earlier, Jinx and Zeri are kind of really good right now. Big Chillers currently are hovering that Zeri. I think it would pair really nicely with the Seraphine, either in mid or in support, just to make sure that she's folding and able to run around the map at lightning speeds.
Remind me, I know Braum shield blocks a lot of things, but does it block the Seraphine root?
The root and the ult, I believe, as it is acting pretty much as a wind wall. It won't block fully the damage, but the projectile will stop.
Okay, that's what I thought. So yeah, like you said, soft counter pick for sure. As the next set of bans are coming in. So I guess with the Zeri being locked in, we can eliminate Seraphine ADC, which means it's most likely support, but could be Seraphine mid lane. But yeah, Zeri, Seraphine, another annoying lane that the Supernova squad might have to deal with here as these second rounds of bans are coming in. J4 being taken off the board here by the Chillers. Ari once again will not be in the hands of Phil and Chill. That champion has a lot of mobility. Ari has been a pretty stable pick throughout the meta here. Ooh, Aurelion Sol and Auroriana taken off the board as well. So no scaling mages for our last three bans.
There was one more, as the Syndra is going to be picked away by Big Chillers. They are not going to allow BKB to have that one again. And I mean, honestly, after his performance in game one,
wait, but Cassiopeia is open though.
Cassiopeia, like you said in game one, a bit of a BKP special is fully up and available. I don't know how the matchup is into Syndra. I feel like that's not going to be the most fun time throughout the laning phase, but there's a difference between comfort and viability. Right now they're hovering that Victor as you said that there were no scaling mages left, but I'm seeing two on my screen right now. Victor versus Syndra, a classic mid lane matchup. It is just a matter of, you know, make it to late game, get 2.5, 3 items, and hope that you do more damage than the other
What is this, season 12?
Jinx and Victor, Ornn in the top lane. ID Supernova have said, we don't want to fight at
all in the early game. Please lock it in. Please.
And scale some more, as they're going to lock in the Sejuani as well.
Man, I'm telling you, I like Supernova's draft so far. I mean, good drafts for both games so far. So let's see what Bing Chillers are going to counter pick here. But yeah, Syndra being locked in here for Phil and Chill, that'll be a very interesting matchup, the Victor versus Syndra, especially given, you know, that BKP did disgusting war crimes on that champion in game one. So Phil and Chill here, your prerogative is to either match or at least do more than what your opponent did in game one, as the Lilia being locked in here last for the Chillers. Lots of AP on the Chillers side here, and I'm looking at how Lilia fits into this comp well. You know, I see the poke between the Syndra, Lilia, Seraphine, but I'm thinking more once again about not the poke, but more about the neutral objectives, the team fights, right? Like what is the Chillers' identity in team fights?
Yeah, it's again, I think once you've drafted a champion like Zarya or Jinx, your team is sort of centered around this pick. I think Lilia's Sleep is a great heal and engage tool to make sure that Zarya is allowed to charge up a little bit. The longer the team fights, the better. Seraphine has some decent follow-up to that Lilia CC and can be the source of engage as well. Syndra, as we saw BKP doing game one, is a great side lane threat, as well as just having a decent amount of priority in that mid lane through the ability to like shove and roam and look for 1v1s. But versus this ID Supernova comp, I'm thinking about how they actually get access to the backline outside of like Rek'Sai Tunnel Flash or Lilia Flash Sleep. And if your entire engage is, truncated on the point of like you need to have a flash to get into the backline, maybe it's not the best source of engage in the book.
And well, on the opposite end of that, sorry, Gecko has 3 champions that can give him his permafrost proc. The Ornn, or 3, I'm sorry, 2. Ornn and the Braum, right? So once again, protect the Jinx and the Victor. You're probably gonna get yourselves another victory here. But obviously, if these champions fall behind, it's gonna be that much harder because Ornn, as we know, is you got 3 tanks. You got 3 tanks and 2 damage dealers. Like
it's a very standard League of Legends.
Yeah, exactly.
Front to back team fighting around some hyperscaling carries. It's as classic League of Legends as League of Legends can get. And Jinx is certainly one of the best ones to do it with. I think it's going to be, if ID Supernova can make it past that 25-30 minute mark where they have Jinx on 3 items, she's not far behind, she's able to navigate team fights, it should look pretty easy for them to execute on. I think, again, the Bing Chiller's composition is harder to execute and maybe a little bit more difficult to play, but it's not unplayable.
Exactly. And that I like that point that you made, is particularly about, once again, the big S word, scaling. So one thing, same thing once again, that we need to see the Chillers do that they in theory wanted to do in game 1. You drafted a you drafted a glass cannon build once again. Is Rek'Sai tank?
Rek'Sai these days is full tank, like Sunfire into Spirit Visage, not even a single damage item, just tank.
Okay, so you got 1 tank and 4 glass cannons. Once again, please be proactive, be aggressive in the early game, particularly on that Syndra. I want to see the BKP treatment transferred to Dr. Phil and Chill. Get that Syndra ahead, just so that way you can have the same thing that your opponents had in game 1.
Yeah, we want to see aggression in the early game from the junglers, but we want to see scaling overall for the laners, so we might be in it for the long haul. We're going to take a short break while we wait for the spectator to lay the lineup. When we get onto the rift for game 2 of ID Supernova versus Bing Chiller Emerald. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We're here for game 2 of Iridescent Dawn Supernova versus the Bing Chillers Emerald. After game 1 was a slow and dominating game, we're hoping for, well, I say hoping for a faster game, but I'm looking at Zeri and Jinx and Victor and Syndra, and I think we might be in it for the long haul of this game too.
Oh wow, Shady didn't buy a pot. He only got his jungle pet.
That's sometimes the meta, depending on how safe your clear is. I don't think he's expecting Technics to especially look to invade him in the early game. So he's got the green pet. He's happy. Like his
Got
like
an extra
his
50 gold.
Sit back, farm up. Doesn't have to do.
He's investing into his future. League of Legends Investment Bank, Rift Investment Bank.
It's like those super guys you see on TikTok who are like, no, yeah, dude, you gotta like invest in this particular coin. I swear it's not a pump and dump scheme. It's really good. It's gonna go to the moon.
Can I interest you, Britty, in some Gecko coin?
Oh, Gecko coin. Please tell me all about it.
Oh well, Gecko coin is the newest cryptocurrency on the Rift. You know, it's named after our Lord and Savior, vegetarian jungler Shady Gecko. You know, he started off in the woes of the Platinum League. All right, let me get back to let's get serious. Let me look at these runes and stuff. Y'all don't want to hear me troll.
Yeah, overall, I think most of the things are pretty normal. I think the only like real big shout out is T-Lights having heal and Spartans having exhaust. It's just that difference in the bottom lane matchup, but overall it's one combat summoner for both sides. It's teleports for solo laners. It's smites for junglers. It's nothing special.
Sorry, I was looking at Twitch chat. Someone said 100% putting my coin into Shady coin. Putting my life savings into Shady coin.
I know you have been you've been out of league for a little bit. I don't know how much you know about Rek'Sai top currently, but she got some changes a couple of patches ago that have made her a very disgusting pick as Mystic and Spartans will get that level.
Please
2.
tell me about it because I actually don't know. I only saw Rek'Sai top once, and that was actually when I was at work. And I put it on YouTube.
Yes,
Rek'Sai top.
You are basically farming grasp off of your W come up, you get the knock up, you get the auto with your Q, and you walk away. Because the Fury generation that you have on your passive now gets you so much healing back. As you can already see there, like just from one trade, he gets 120 health back. It's essentially a potion that procs faster if you stack that Fury up to full. She's
And the
so
Fury gives you empowered damage on your abilities, correct?
On your E specifically, and they removed its true damage to instead make it percentage max health physical damage now.
Okay, got it. All right, cool. Know everything I need to know, and that ultimate still the same.
Yep. It's still an execute, but Full Take Rek'Sai doesn't use it exactly as well as Assassin Rek'Sai has in the past. She really uses it as like a, I'm gonna get on top of your ADC, and they're not gonna be having very much fun kind of.
Many a ADC dreads the Assassin Rek'Sai. As we have ourselves an engage here in the river already, Pretty.
And it gets stunned up. BKB is first on the rotate, but he's got the Conqueror stack for Tech. Makes sense. Dr. Chill is just gonna whip the stun entirely. Let's go forth the flash out of Shady Gecko, but that's a definite miss on a first blood.
Where did it even? Oh, it went in the bush. Okay. It went in the bush because I was like, where did the orb go? It like completely disappeared. If Phil and Chill hit that, they would have had first blood on Gecko, but you snooze, you lose, and you need to aim better, Phil and Chill. So quite unfortunate you missed, as Spartans were looking for a little harass onto T. Oh, there's Wiz. Can we get a scatter the weak count? 1 out of 2 so far.
We'll keep an eye on that for Dr. Phil and Chill and see if that one is just nerves or if it is maybe a bit of matchup lacking expertise.
Oh,
Chef is gonna get straight in here.
You might have this.
But nah, he doesn't. It's Rek'Sai. She's gonna heal back up half her HP. As long as you're like removing tunnels and you're getting little bits of chip damage onto the Rek'Sai every now and then, you're gonna be feeling fine. But with the D shield, with the second wind, and with that Fury generation on the waves, it's so difficult, like I said, to move her out of the lane.
I love how seeing Spartans harass the Zeri there, even though he can't do anything. It's just funny seeing supports harass the ADC. As we are now about 5 minutes into the game. Cloud Drake is the first Drake to spawn once again, Britty. So it looks like a repeat. Hopefully we get a chem tank, because you know, you said that was a staple here in the AEL.
we get to see at least one throughout this series as T-Lights immediately comes back to lane and gets a nice
What if the series only goes 3 games?
If it goes 3 games and we don't see a single Chemtexel, I'll be it will be a sad way to end the series. But you can already see here, Super Chase not even having to use that teleport and nearly getting back to, I was about to say full HP, but in the meantime, Shooting Echo is actually going to force the flash out of the Rek'Sai, as we did see Dr. Phil and she'll have a disconnect there, so maybe a bit of lag issues as we're going to step into a pause for a second here. Hopefully it's nothing too major.
Ooh.
But we can just take a pause and take a look at the state of the game currently.
Yeah, absolutely. So now that we have ourselves this slight pause, let's just take a look from top of the map to the bottom. Obviously, Gecko and Andy Chef tried to continue their war crimes against Super Chase from game 1. Not able to this time, as Super Chase does have the flash, was able to get away, plus that tunnel. But at least they now know the summoner spell has been blown on the top side of the map. So expect a repeat gank at some point in the future. Moving on to the mid lane here, BKP currently having the push on Dr. Phil and Chill, but Dr. Phil and Chill, I believe, should be able to clear out those minions A-okay. I want to take a look at the bottom side of the map here. We see Technics clearing his Gromp. And at this point right now, Galista and T-Lights are pushing in on the Braum and Jinx. However, it's a Braum and Jinx. They're probably going to push back. So I'm wondering if Technics might tell his bot lane to play a bit chicken and look for a potential gank onto the bot lane there. Though it is a Seraphine, Zeri, and Lilia, I'm not sure how much damage they'll have. With quotation marks, I know they have damage, guys, but how much damage they'll have this early to kill a Braum Jinx, particularly the Braum, because of just, those defensive stats.
Yeah, Braum can be super difficult to actually deal with in the early game, especially if you're doing the maxing order that I'm going to call the correct way to do it. In lanes where you don't need a lot of poke, you can just max your shield and just be able to tank up so many bits of poke and resistances and just shield a lot for your team really effectively in the early game, because your Q, it doesn't do a ton on max order if you don't need the extra damage out of it. So oftentimes it is better to just maxi a lot of the, what I'm going to call the newer Braum players don't know that. I'm not someone who plays Braum very often. It was something I had to learn when I was picking it up for the first time for a little bit. But if you're playing a little bit more defensively and if you're just trying to play safe, you put a couple points into that E, you sit back, you take the poke, you say, stand behind me, you sit there with your shield, and you look good doing it at the very least.
I'm behind Braum. Yeah, but if they don't look for a play onto that Braum and Jinx, they might potentially look to take the Cloud Drake here, as they do have Prio currently in lane. Yes, BKP is currently pushing up mid, and Dr. Phil and Chill's health is a little bit shaky, but with regen and the Syndra being able to clear out minions pretty easily, I think they would have the go-ahead to look for that first Drake here. And Gecko might then just pivot to the Void Grubs there. But at this point of the game right now, Brittany, I will ask you this. How do we feel about Technics and the Chillers so far? How do we feel about their early game? I mean, it's only 5.5 minutes, so not much has happened. Maybe we'll wait till after the first Drake.
They have decent scaling. It's not as good of a scaling as the ID Supernova side has, but it means that they're going to spike just that little bit.
He brought a dark scale too.
Yeah, they have that skill, that ability to be online just that little bit earlier. They have Galista, who's going to have that 2-item power spike. I'm assuming he's going to go the static shift build, as much as I personally dislike it. It's really good for farming and wave clearing early. Dr. Phil and Chill will hit an item and a half, 2 items on the Syndra, be able to start one-shotting people because, it's Syndra. And Technics, if he can hit a multi-man sleep, it's good to win fights. It's just a matter of, can they actually make this happen before the members of ID Supernova can get online? I was hoping that we were going to see more of that in game 1, as it looked like they had a really aggressive draft that could work really well for them, but they just didn't manage to, link it all together. They didn't manage to, have that secret sauce at the end to make it all happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, for those of you wondering what happened to the pause, Dr. Phil and Chill did disconnect. He's currently restarting his router. We don't know the ETA, but hopefully he is back soon. Brittany, I'm wondering if we should cut to a short break, as we have been going for quite a bit here. Oh, never mind. Look at that.
See, you cast your curse in reverse. We're gonna hop back on to the map as Andy Chef actually getting very low there on the top side, forced to use his flash to get away from the Rek'Sai. Flash traded in response. We're gonna have this pause here as the spectator gets back in line with the 3-minute delay, puts everything back together. You know, Riot, small indie company, you know how it is.
Okay.
But it looks like Andy Chef escapes on the top side. Super Chase loses his flash up there as well, but Shady Gecko shouldn't be able to get a response kill as Spartans is gonna lose a bit of his HP here on the bottom side. But again, no kills go over. It's a very bloodless game once again.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, like we said, right, both of these teams do want to scale ID Supernova more so than the Chillers, but both of them do have some good scaling in their drafts. So just something that to be aware of as we get through this early game here. And like I said, yep, Gecko working on those Void Grubs, and look at that Technics on the Dragon here as the Ornhorn comes through. Oh, that's the new skin. Wait, is that the new skin? No, that's the Space Groove one.
No, it's Space Groove. Conductor Horn has not come through just yet, unfortunately. But that's part of the power of Rek'Sai top right there. You have your tunnel set up, and it's just so difficult to engage on you. Even if you do get low, you can just take a couple of tunnels, walk away, and suddenly you are no longer in any danger of getting engaged on.
Yeah, Rek'Sai with the tunnel strat. Such a funny. That's what I like about League, though. Every now and then, like, you see champions evolve into roles that you never would have expected or just imagined them in. Like Rek'Sai top. Can you imagine saying that even a year ago?
Oh, not a chance. Rek'Sai was in such a bad spot for so long. It feels crazy to say like Rek'Sai in truly in any position.
Yeah. And now at this point here, we see Spartans and Mystic working on these plates here. And Seraph Queen here to assist her Zeri to chase them off a little bit. Yeah, it's a salad game. It's a salad game.
It's a slow early game. Both of these teams are scaling. They want to get to at least 1 item, 1.5 items before they really start making heavy and aggressive trades outside of, you know, like tanks beating on each other in the top lane, because those guys have grasp. They're always going to be trading with each other, but we're not going to be seeing too much action. It's not like we have a volley grab like we did in game 1 who wants to be on the map early, wants to be making ganks happen, is going to fall off a cliff if he doesn't. But
it's so funny watching them fight.
We're gonna have time here to sit and talk about truly whatever we want. Is Dr. Feeling Chills eat a stun there from BKP, but you know, it's early game Cinder, it's early game Victor. They're not gonna be able to find lethal this early on.
Okay, since we have time to talk about whatever we want, then have you seen Dune 2?
I have. God, it's really good.
It was
for the sci-fi genre, actually. He got us here on the top side, but you know, Super Chase is playing Rek'Sai. He's gonna be safe. He's gonna just walk away from the play.
Yeah, I wonder which team is on the spice right now to give them those enhanced capabilities in order to drive themselves to victory. Who is your Lisan Al-Gaib?
I mean, based on how you've been talking about him, I feel like it's Shady Gecko leading his team.
That's the answer I was looking for.
Leading his team to victory in game 1 on that volley grab. I'm looking to do the same in game 2 here on that Sejuani. You were talking about in draft that Sejuani has a couple of good passive activators for her on that E, just making sure that she has a couple of other melees, getting those passive procs down, making sure that she gets those stuns up pretty consistently, and combining that with Braum passive to get some extra stuns from there as well. It's going to be a difficult time for anybody on this Bing Chiller side if they want to try and move, as Spartans will get a nice bit of blocking in there to keep Mystic safe, but Seraphine has some pretty good poke in the early game.
Yep, absolutely. And that poke is starting to take its toll there. Mystic, about 1/4 left of their HP bars. Technic finds Gecko in the jungle.
Stun comes through from Shady Gecko. There's that E from Technics. He's gonna smite away the red buff. He's got a blast gun available, so if he wants to get away, he can. There it finally is popped, just to make sure that he can escape the play. He knew that the rotate was there from Mystic and Spartan, so did not want to get caught unawares by
I feel like Chiller should have tried to fight that. I know, though I didn't see exactly where the mid laners were on the map entirely, but I think that 3v3 they would have won. You saw the damage Technics was putting through. You have Seraphine and the Zeri with their ultimates. Gecko, obviously in a 1v1 cannot stand against Technics, so I think they could have maybe tried to be a bit more aggressive there, but once again, I didn't see the entire map state, so I don't know where BKP was, but I would assume he had prio to rotate first. So, you know, it is the better move to just retreat. You didn't get the red buff, so go home.
Yeah, Technic's happy to smite that one away. It's not going to net him like a massive game-winning advantage that's suddenly going to turn the tide and give his team a full victory. But Bane Chillers, over the course of the scaling, have very slowly managed to get themselves a lead. It's less than 1,000, but gold lead is a gold lead at this point that they're happy to take as
gold is gold.
And gold is gold is gold, and gold is good. So Bane Chillers happy to be sitting with a lead in some regard as they're going to look to try and take away these next 3 grubs. They don't want to give over.
Okay, here we go. I think we're gonna get our first fight at a neutral objective.
Gecko used his smite on that on the Rift Scuttler though, so I'm not 100% sure they actually want to try and trade for them. Although he is standing pretty aggressively, he maybe wants to look for it. His smite is back up off of cooldown. And they're just gonna walk away. It's no trade.
Ooh.
It's no kill. Hang on, wait a minute. Dr. Bill and Chill inside that Chaos Star was gonna be forced to flash away. A nice stun over the wall. Make sure the shitty Gecko does not get the charging onto him. And again, no death says, hang on. T-Lights is gonna get stunned up. There's that lightning crash from Goat Lista, immediately exhausted. The encore
nice.
punch, though. T-Lights will donate first blood to Goat Lista.
Another one?
Finally, we have some blood. Goat Lista trying to get the other with Spartans is unbreakable, and he'll trade back 1-for-1.
Despite the fact that it was a 1-for-1 in the bot lane, I still like that Bing Chillers were finally able to fight and were able to take it to the ID Supernova bot lane here. They'd have the poke once again. Jinx, Braum, not a super strong lane in terms of the 2v2, so they knew they could take the fight to them and win. And they did. Unfortunately, Goat Lista just went a bit too deep and therefore gave some gold back over to the enemy side. On the other side, Dr. Phil and Chill was able to escape from BKP here, but that Victor was putting the pause on the Syndra. So it's just something that Phil and Chill will have to be a bit mindful of as the Ornhart's coming through.
The floor's gone. Nice flash from Super Chase. Instantly reacting to that one. Did not want to get caught by that ultimate. In the meantime, on the bottom side, it is going to be the dragon started up for Bing Chillers. It is a Hextech dragon second this time around. One of those individual dragons that you are really happy to have in your pocket. Extra ability, haste, and attack speed is good for everybody in the game. Shady Gecko is going to get stunned away. This dragon's getting super low. Somebody's got to spun it down and stolen! Shady Gecko!
But they sleep.
Immediately going to be put to sleep as he's going to be looking to get a crest on. It's a nice poke there from T-Light. Super Chase trying to get up to the back line with that teleported man. BKP now the one in trouble, stunned away.
Okay.
Go breaks him down with a lightning crash as Mega Death Rocket goes into having no damage. All the members are so low. Mystic wants to find his resets. He gets one. He's getting excited. Can he get another? He doesn't have enough damage. No! Dr. Phil and Chill will live. Static Ship is a garbage item and I'll stand by this.
Oh my god. If Mystic had... they're still looking. If Mystic had more damage on that Mega Death Rocket, I think that's a triple, maybe even a quadra right there. But unfortunately not. ID Supernova able to steal the Drake even though the Chillers were on it first, but the Chillers, maybe it was part of their plan all along. They were able to get able to get some kills. Unfortunately, they maybe went a bit too deep. Don't do that at 25 minutes into the game because you might not like the results.
Yeah, a little bit dangerous, but Mystic positioned very well over the course of that fight. Didn't take a ton of damage, but was able to output quite a bit. And I think, I'm gonna be real, I hate this item so much, I'm gonna keep dogging on it. If he had something other than Static Shiv, like, he would have had a little bit less AD if he had Kraken Slayer, sure, but more attack speed and better procs on the passive meant that he probably gets 1-2 extra kills there.
Yeah. And now we see the Chillers working on the Rift Herald here. Wonder where they'll use it. Most likely, probably mid. But who knows? We'll see. And Goat Lista here I mean, I know you're a Zeri, I know you have movement speed, but you got to be careful there, buddy. You can't just be that aggressive in front of your enemy right by their tower, you know?
I mean, as long as you can dodge skill shots, I guess you could be as aggressive as you want, as he was able to sidestep that zap and the Winter's Bite there from Braum. But yeah, that aggression is something that can be punished if Shady Gecko was nearby, potentially in the area, as T-Lights is just gonna continue to land poke here.
Now see, this at this point here, ID Supernova, you guys need to chill out. Y'all don't win the 2v2 on your own. You don't. You know, you have a Braum. Jinx, yes, Jinx is a hyper carry, we know that, but Jinx and Braum are not gonna win a 2v2 into a Seraphine Zeri, and you're just gonna trade with your HP bar. So your objective at this point now is to just honestly keep farming up as much as possible. You might have to give this tower.
It's getting very, very low.
Yes,
Spartan's doing an admirable job of taking up some of these hits and making sure
and there are 4 people
down.
heading to bot lane.
He did use that Glacial Fissure just as a bit of disengage. We saw Shady Gecko and Technics rotating down. Dr. Chill is here as well. I don't think he's been spotted on vision just yet. He's going to try and sneak into that forward rush. Doesn't look like he wants anything to do with the play this time around, though, so he's just going to use that empowered recall to get back towards mid lane, and they're just going to knock down that bottom lane tower for first tower one.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know what, Brittany? I think, once again, the points you made earlier in the pre-show are gonna come to fruition here. We might get to see the GOAT Lista show finally take off this time around. And as of right now, I'm sorry, not ID. Big Killers are doing pretty well here. You know, they're heading gold. They got their carries online a bit early, so I like what I'm seeing here. Lilia has damage, Syndra has some damage, so let's see if the glass cannon can hold out. I think the true test of how this game progresses, especially for the Chillers, will be this third Drake here.
Yeah, I think this Infernal Dragon is going to be a very important objective for both these teams to fight over. You see Goat Lista close to that 2-headed power spike. He nearly has that Kraken Slayer in inventory. Probably wants to farm like one more wave, try and get that item finished up. I know the completion is not that far off from the actual components. I think it's 300 or 400 gold, as Mystic is sitting on just that Noon Quiver. He's probably a decent chunk of gold away from that completed item. And if they can get Goat Lista that completed item before they start fighting this dragon, it would be such a big spike. But I think now with 20 seconds on the respawn, it might just be too late.
Yeah, definitely a bit too late, as the Drake now spawning in about 15 seconds here. We see, look at the vision. I wonder, my boy PBS, can you toggle vision real quick and show us how much? Oh, never mind, we have a fight.
Ooh, there's that lightning crash into the mid lane.
Oh,
it's very, very
so
low. Goat Lista again exhausted. Shady Gecko's here on the flank. Mystic managed to survive with a sliver of HP. And Shady Gecko now forced to run away. He's going to use that ult just defensively to try and escape. Loses his flash as well. And that will be the mid lane turn falling. Hang on, BKP over the wall though. East on Vision is going to start to get bursted down. The Unleashed Power is going to force the flash. Super, Mega, Death, Rocket Technics doesn't get caught by it. That Eve almost puts him perfectly into position for it, but manages to sidestep it just barely. And again, kill's not going over, but the fight's won for Big Chillers, and it shouldn't have been the dragon.
Both teams, more particularly ID Supernova, were very uncoordinated around this dragon objective. If Gecko had ulted Technics there and the Jinx was nearby with the Mega Death Rocket, that's the dead jungler, that's the Infernal Rift, Infernal Drake for the side of ID Supernova. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. So once again, Big Chillers with the poke, able to poke out Supernova squad here and able to get themselves this third Drake. So I like what I'm seeing them. They're also using that Rift Hero there on the mid lane turret. So definitely the Chillers here are here to play. They heard what we said in game one. They went back and retuned their draft, not the draft is still kind of glass cannon, but retuned how they pilot and maneuver these champions, how they actually play the game. So I like seeing the agency that the Chillers are implementing here in game two.
Yeah, I do think it also helps that they don't have a volley bear sitting on their mid and top laner throughout the entirety of the early game, just making it unplayable for them. But in the meantime, we've got Andy Chef here potentially in trouble on the top side. He's got flash. He's going to be just fine. I don't think they want to turn any ultis, but
not just that, Britty, but look at we haven't talked about items in a while. Look at what Victor built first. Now, once again, I know I said I'm a bit of a relic in terms of casting, that I haven't casted or played League in a while, but never have I ever seen a Victor build Seraphs first.
I don't hate it on Victor, like picking up a tier and then going into your first item is something that's like fairly common.
I hate it. It's just a very interesting first.
It's a choice for a first item.
It is a choice.
Focus probably works well. First item, Leandries, if you're going to be worried about your damage versus this Rek'Sai or the healing versus from Technics, like you have a lot of options. I'm not sure Seraphs is the one that I would pick personally, but hey, that's why we're up here and not down there, right?
No, but you know, I'm gonna ask you, what would you pick? What would you build first?
In this game, I would probably go Leandries. I know very often there are some people also going Lichbane first item now. That item is apparently very, very good. So I've been seeing a lot of mid laners pick that item up first or second. I know Ari especially is one. I imagine Victor, as already a pretty good Lichbane user, would probably also pick it up too.
Yeah, Lichbane, I've heard very nasty things about that item. Nice to see that it's back into relevance for our mages here. But you know, this game has me thinking right now about the game state and where we are, right? It's only a 2k deficit for Supernova. Ooh, Technics here. I thought he was looking for a sleep angle, but he didn't have any backup. So yeah, like I was saying, at this point of the game, hold on.
Technics wants to get aggressive. He's taking another jungle camp away. This Lilia has just been an absolute menace in this early and mid game, just making life difficult for Shady Gecko on the Sejuani, who I would say admirably has actually managed to keep up evenly in terms of CS, despite Technics being a bit of a troublemaker in his lane, making life difficult for him, as Super Chase is going to get that demolish proc off in the top side. This game is just continuing to be very slow. I think if I had to guess, this is probably one of our lowest kills, if not the lowest kill per minute game in the AEL. We do not have games this slow very often.
I mean, this is the grand finals. This is game 2. Chillers definitely want to win this one to bring the series score to 1-1, one apiece. That is
ridiculous.
Yeah, so I mean, they don't want to be in an 0-2 hole, because that really messes with the mental, right? Then you go into game 3 thinking, oh my god, we have to win this, guys. So they're playing a bit more cautious, but still applying pressure where they need to. And once again, looking at these items here, Zeri with the Kraken and Static, now working on her third item, Jinx, with the same items actually. Oh, it looks like it will be an LDR for the Zeri coming through.
I think LDR here is a right call. You're into Braum, Sejuani, and you're going to need a lot of pen. It's going to delay your Navori by at least a little bit, but Navori isn't like the big damage spike item that it used to be, especially for a champion like Zeri. It's not doing the absolute most, as Technics just doing a little poking here versus Shady. Maybe he wants to find more, but you know, he's a 1 versus 3 currently. I don't think he's going to look for a big engage, but it is going to be a little bit of extra damage for the Zeri once she gets that item, but the Lord Dominix is probably just going to give her a lot more efficacy versus these frontliners if the fights are going to be as front to back as we think they are.
Yes, and I need Gecko and the Braum to combo their ultimates, and then Victor to then follow up, and then finally the Jinx. Because at this point, we know we're going to get ourselves probably a full fight here at this Infernal Drake. You see, well,
he's really balanced, huh?
Yeah, we see a lot of tit for tat on the top side, but I want the director, thank you, taking us to the bottom side. There it is.
Getting very low. There's that glacial person on the front line. Dr. Phil and Chill forced to flash away.
Look at the Jinx though. Jinx is undisturbed.
Dr. Phil and Chill, he's gonna burst down the Spartans. Texas is gonna go down. It's a huge knockup from Andy Chef that will blow up the fight in favor of ID Supernova. Super Chase teleports in, but it's too little too late. He'll get one as recompense, but he dies in exchange. It's a triple kill for Mystic.
ID season, baby. I've told you, when you mess with the fire, you get burnt. Chiller what? Chiller who? Chiller when? Chiller where? Chiller why? Not today.
Yeah, there is a reason that Andy Chef is on one of the all-pro teams. This man has been great in terms of his top lane play, in terms of his capabilities. I was a little surprised to see him land himself on the third team. I thought for sure he would have been a shoo-in for second or first, even with how good Masuf and Rutledge have looked over the course of their series. But Andy Chef has been cooking up there in the top side, and we're seeing exactly why in this game.
Absolutely. I mean, like, you know, there's an art to just being in the top lane for about 25 minutes into the game and not interacting with the rest of your team except at neutral objectives. There's an art to that, okay?
Yeah, you are sitting in the top lane. You're trading versus a Rek'Sai who is healing over every single tick of damage you do. Like, it's got to be so mentally frustrating to just sit there and be like, damn, I wish I could do damage to my lane opponent, but my lane opponent's playing Rek'Sai. This sucks.
I wish I could leave my lane.
But Rek'Sai's going to take my tower if I do. But you teleport into your first team fight, hit a 3-man knockup, follow up with Call to Forge God, and suddenly the fight's just over, and you're like, damn, I'm a god, actually. I'm just the best top laner in the league.
Exactly. And the biggest mistake of that team fight for the terms of the Chillers, they left the Jinx completely undisturbed. They couldn't get to her though. Like, that 3-man knockup that Andy Chef got was disgusting. The Seraphine ultimate didn't really connect like it should have, which is quite unfortunate, because if it did, that perhaps may have turned their tides a little bit. But that's just the way the cookie crumbled, right? So now they find themselves actually in an even gold state in terms of, you know, gold across the teams, but there's that secret stat and secret gold that you never think about, and those are the Ornn items.
Yeah, Shady Gecko's gonna look for some damage here on the Super Chase up on the top side. I think Super Chase, though, is in fact playing tank Rek'Sai, so we'll just tunnel away from that play and not feel under too much threat here currently. We do have the bot lane rotating up, though. This might be a little bit over-aggressive from Super Chase. He's got a couple of tunnels set up, so if he can get away, but no, the CC's just too powerful. Super Chase overstays as well. They'll donate a 5th kill over to Mystic. In the meantime, though, through the mid lane, Goatlista, Tactics, and T-Lane are just gonna push out his tower. Sleep on to BKP. How much followers do they have? The encore, that snare scope is big, but it's not big enough. Goatlista shreds through that health bar.
If only the Chillers had. Wait, are they just using their health? Oh, the teleport, nice. Okay, good, because I was like, they want to trade this because they know they lost the Baron, so they need to trade something back. I really like this play here from the Big Chillers, but will it cost them?
God, Andy Chef finds Goatlista, doesn't manage to find the knob.
Oh, Gecko from behind.
Shut him down. Shady Gecko with the flank is going to force out Tactics and Dr. Cohen Chill. With the powered ultimate from Syndra doesn't do enough damage. Stand behind Braum indeed. Mystic is just a little too tanky on the Jinx. Oh, the Super Mega Death Driver downtown finds Tactics as well. It's just a massacre in favor of ID Supernova. They're going to be pushing into Baron power, not into Baron minions, but into Super minions in the mid lane. So I don't know if they'll be able to find the end, but that's
yeah, I thought if there's some minions more close by, I was like, could they end here? But there's not a minion in sight, so yeah. But really, I love what ID Supernova did. You know, they recognize, okay, we're gonna lose our inhibitor, but we're gonna make them pay for it. And the flank from Gecko, and hope that thought, you are very, very deep, my friend. But he does have support. He does have support. Yeah.
He's got a team behind him. He's got a Baron buff. He's feeling fine to just walk forward aggressively as Spartans. He's just going to tank this turret in the face of Super Chase and say, hey, Mystic, there you go. Free gold for you. And speaking of free gold, you were talking about it earlier, the Ornn item upgrades. That first one came through already. The edge of finality for Mystic. It turns out Jinx with 3 items and with an Ornn upgraded Infinity Edge does a lot of damage. Who would have thought, truly?
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, well, so you meant the first item besides the item Ornn gives to himself.
Besides Ornn's own item.
Yeah. Correct. So next, he should be upgrading the Victor here. If he doesn't, he's trolling.
He's got 17. He actually has all the upgrades fully online now. It's just a matter of who he wants to give it to next. I think he's...
Wait, he gave it to the support.
Yeah, but
Wait.
he has 2 more upgrades. It doesn't matter. He
Yeah.
just needs to wait for BKP to stand close to him so he can upgrade his Rabidons. It's fine.
Why hasn't he upgraded the Rabidons first?
You know what? That's a great question. I'm not sure Andy Chef knows where BKP is currently. I'm not sure BKP knows where Andy Chef is, as he's gonna go clear up that top side wave.
Oh my god.
Wait, he just said, the shielding, the healing T-Lights managing to keep his jungler alive, but yeah, that's a 4-item Jinx. I've heard those are pretty good in League of Legends, actually. As
Hey, remember, Brady, this is the part we were scared of, right? Didn't we
Yeah.
say if the game gets past this point, good luck to Bing Chillers?
Yeah, because Bing Chillers, they had their power point. They were hitting like their 2-item power spikes. They were getting really, really strong on their carries, but now it's Mystic's turn to be strong. As Super Chase is going to get engaged on here on the bottom side. Call the Forge God. Maybe looking for an engage. The stuns are coming through. There's that encore. Nice catch from Spartan's. Not going to allow it to go through anybody else. In the meantime, on the backside, BKP forced to flash away, but it does not matter. Mystic is getting excited. It's a double kill for Jinx.
It's Jover!
And I'm just saying, I think it might just be a little Jover. 9-1 for Mystic, 13 out of 14 KP. He's feeling pretty good on this hyper carry.
I need to think of more sun puns and more flame puns. Chat, help me out. Help me think of more fire puns. We need some ID. We need other ID memes because I'm not gonna say it's ID season. Like I'm not gonna bite that. But
You can't upgrade in front of Dr. Bill. He's just gonna cancel you. Hang on, wait, no, he's got it. And funk. Hey, there we go. Rapidon's upgraded. The Death Crown finally available. I don't think Shady Gecko actually has an item that's currently upgradable, so I think Iridescent is going to be waiting a little bit before he can manage to get that one done. As a nice 2-man stun from Dr. Bill and Chill. Maybe this is the engagement we're looking for.
Here, though.
It's getting very, very low. Spartans forced to use that Glacial Fissure defensively. It's a great bit of heal, though. All the members of Ivy Supernova survive. Great job healing from Gecko and Spartans.
Yo, I'm loving how ID is playing this game. This is great. You know, I overheard in the Bing Chillers locker room after game 1, he got me. Phil of the Bing Chillers, dunk on him. You know, that freaking BKP, he boomed me. Phil added, he's so good. Repeating 4 times. Phil then said he wanted to add BKP to his list of players that scrims with this summer. So, wow.
Yeah, it turns out Ivy Supernova are pretty good at League of Legends. And I just want to point out again that in the regular season, they did have a very difficult group. They had Dog, Iota, and Elysium Super Hot in their group. So obviously going 2-2 is not like the worst thing. Is hang on, double TPs coming through, BKP teleporting in to all the members of Big Chillers, but they can't punish him. The Seraphine Encore is nice, but it's not going to be nice enough. Spartans will find his second kill of the game as Dr. Bill and Chill trying to get a little bit of poke down, but now without the engage tool of Seraphine, can they manage to find a fight? Can they defend their base? As it's looking more and more difficult as the gold lead just spirals further and further ahead for Aegis Supernova.
Sorry about that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So Bing Chillers on their death throes here, trying to mount a stalwart defense, but it's very hard to cut through an Ornn, a Braum, and a Sejuani.
Yeah.
And then you okay, Lily with the
flash sleep.
They need this.
Mid-60s untouched in the backline, so Bagovisto charging up.
No, it's not
trying
enough.
to have it, but it's a double kill already from Mystics. Teammates has respawned. They are still looking to play through this Zeri. Galista still full HP, still trying to kite. Mystic keeps bombs down onto him. It's just a matter of centimeters, but they can't get on top of the Jinx.
Oh my god.
For one death. Call on the Forge God to seal the deal. The charge does not come through in time. Galista is shut down for Mystic goes legendary. And game 2 is going to go to IDS as they're going to look to take the series in a clean sweep and send us to game 3.
Flay is crying right now because he's thinking that he actually has to eat Shady Gecko after this. You know, he's crying in a restaurant with his wife the other day, and when he had a bad coughing fit for like 30 seconds. When he was finally done, his wife asked him like, "Yo, are you okay?" He replied, "Bling Chillers." She nodded her head. She knew he choked on air.
Yeah, it's obviously not over yet. We do still have at the minimum one more game to play, but ID Supernova are looking untouchable in this series. They're playing out of their minds. Andy Chef up there in the top side, deathless on the Ornn, having shockingly enough the second most damage in the game, which feels a little ridiculous given that there was a Zeri and a Syndra and a Lilia, but Ornn's a pretty good champion in League of Legends. Who would have thought?
That is disgusting. That shouldn't be. That shouldn't happen, but it did. So for what, let me be a bit serious though and stop the memes right for a bit. I do like how Big Chillers played the early game. Unfortunately, it just got away from them once again. For game 3, you have to copy your opponents. I think you need to, or you play and die by your own style. But I think they need. They should look for a standard draft. Goatlista obviously can do the work. You just need to give him more support. I feel like everybody on Bing Chillers, it's solo queue. It's a solo queue draft.
Mm.
It's a solo queue draft. It is like, and that's not to be offensive, but it is like literally the Lilia can play for herself. Syndra can kind of play for herself. Zeri, Seraphine, and then Rek'Sai. Like, there's no ultimate cohesion in their draft. Like, you saw the ID Supernova draft. They had 3 people that get in your face. Victor and Jinx clean up the rest.
Yeah, it was maybe a bit of a draft gap, maybe just a bit of a gameplay gap as ID Supernova got to their late game spikes. They got powerful in their late game carries. They were able to play out the game essentially the way that they really wanted to from minute one. Mm-hmm. And like you said, the Big Chillers played good in the early game. They had some early leads that they capitalized on. They were able to play aggressively. They were looking for picks, but they just couldn't be aggressive enough. They weren't able to pounce hard enough. They weren't able to capitalize hard enough and punish hard enough to shut down the members of ID Supernova. The
biggest thing I would change out of this draft is the Syndra. Because you have Lilia, Zeri, Seraphine, Rek'Sai. Those are 4 mobile champions, and then Syndra's kind of, guys, wait for me. Wait for me. Like, I would have changed that for a more mobile champion, maybe a LeBlanc. Just something that has a bit more mobility, because then you can all flow like water, be a more cohesive unit if you're gonna do that type of draft. But with that being said, Brady, I think we're going to cut to a short break as we prepare for game 3. Will the Bing Chillers be able to bounce back, or does Supernova give them their last shine? We'll find out in a bit here. Stay tuned.
This city never sleeps, chemically brought down on its knees. With every breath that I breathe, clenched fists and gritting teeth. Tonight the energy flowing in me is waiting for relief. Thunder beneath my feet, I sight you on my I feel it in my bones. A spark to lead us through the shadows. But can I fight the way before me? It's coursing through my soul. A road to guide us through the sorrow. Can I calm this storm inside me? I feel it in my bones. A spark to lead us through the shadows. Can I fight the way before me? It's coursing through my soul. A road to guide us through the sorrow. Can I calm this storm inside me? This storm inside me. Gripping with my cold hands the shapes I used to take, hollow like a strong man, but it's easier to push away. 'Cause it could all end here with a strange daylight caught in our eyes, and my shadow is stretching out through all the things I left behind. It's in my blood, it's in my veins. Oh, it's in my blood, it's in my veins. Got my heel crushed.
Welcome back, everybody. We're here for what could potentially be our final match of the AEL winter season. We've got Bing Chiller's Emerald on the blue side and ID Supernova on the red. And as per usual, we're hopping straight into draft. How are Bing Chillers going to be able to snap back, send us to game 4, or is ID Supernova just going to slam the series away and take home their chip?
So Bing Chillers once again chose blue side. The bans are Zach and Kaisa. And I'm liking, I really like IDs. I like how they think. They like, okay, you want blue side? No Jinx. They're taking Jinx off the board. Nico, once again, still keeping their, well, there should be a Jinx off the board. They're using that time to talk about their next stuff, but like I was just in case they decided to trick us. So yeah, I like what their bans are. I feel like ID have a very, so far from what we've seen, ID Supernova have a very clear draft identity. They know what, everyone knows what their role is.
Yeah, they have a very cohesive draft strategy coming into all of these games, but Bing Chillers, once again, don't want to let them get their hands on the Kaisa and the volley bear. I mean, after Shady Gecko's performance in game 1, I wouldn't want to let him have it either. I'm not too shocked with that ban away. ID Supernova, once again,
If I see a B1 brand, it's over.
I could be the first pick brand for Bing Chillers. They are on the blue side again if they want to reflect that game 1 draft. They are looking at the Rek'Sai once again for Super Chase, though, so they're going to lock that one away instead.
Why? What did it do?
The healing on it was really nice, and it was very difficult to move out of lane. It was just a matter of they weren't able to, you know, it's difficult for ID Supernova to move the Rek'Sai out of lane and get her, like, moving anywhere, aside from, like, the one time they dove everybody top and killed her. But, like, Big Chillers need to also find a way to get her out of the lane. You don't want her just sitting up there doing nothing.
Okay, fair enough. But now look, ID Supernova clap back with the Ornn and Seraphine. I already like where their draft is going. We've seen Bing Chillers hovering that Braum. That is, I think Braum into Seraphine isn't a bad pick. However, we saw what happened when it was paired up with that ADC once again. So this is, I feel like this is a trap right now.
Because if they
because
want to just grab like Braum Zeri here, I wouldn't hate it. I think they just need something to pair with this Braum. I like the Braum versus Seraphine and Ornn. You're able to block out the ultimates, whichever one comes out to engage first, you can block away. It's a nice soft counter to both of these champions. It's just going to be a matter of what do they pair it with in the laning phase.
Exactly. And then you have to be mindful once again, same thing. Now that you paired it with the Braum, you are basically saying, okay, we are playing to scale and to get Goatlista much gold and as many items as quickly as possible. So we're not looking to fight too much in the bot lane, except with the help of our jungler, and we have the Twitch locked in. Okay, that Twitch actually, yeah, Twitch did get through this time around. So we'll see how Goatlista pilots the rat. But I wonder what ID Supernova will pair it up with here, or sorry, pair up the Seraphine with here. If they'll look to pick their AD carry as well.
It could always be a Seraphine mid lane or a Seraphine bottom lane carry if they really want it to be, but it seems like they are opting for it as the supportive pick currently, as Ezreal is the hover, sitting on that 0. It's going to be locked away. Seraphine Ezreal is a really good poke lane. I worry about how much damage they're going to be able to take versus Braum and Twitch.
No, they'll be fine.
The aggression in the early game could be very, very dangerous, but it's Seraphine and Ezreal. They're so safe in the early game. It's so difficult to like push them away.
I think they'll be fine even like past 10-15 minutes. I mean, it's kind of, as the second round of bans are coming, it's kind of the same thing to me. You know, the Seraphine Zeri from game 2, it's just Seraphine Ezreal, which is a lot of poke. Though the all-in from the Bing Chiller side will be a bit a bit sneakier, because you know, Twitch with the invisibility, if he's able to get behind the Seraphine more than you're gonna have to be a bit more creative trying to kill the Ezreal because of that arcane shift. But the Seraphine could be an easier target to feed off of, just due to that immobility. As these second rounds of bans are coming in, Syndra taken off the board, Mundo as well. And we're waiting for ID Supernova for their last ban here. It will be the Aurelion Soul, so no scaling mid laners, at least for Dr. Phil and Chill here. And obviously they definitely don't want to give BKP the Syndra once again. So I'm curious to see how Bing Chillers are going to pick their last 2 picks here. So far I like their draft identity a bit. You know, you got 2 tanks, you have an AD carry, okay, you got people that can heal for the Twitch or at least cause some type of distraction. So those last 2 picks are going to be very critical, especially in my opinion. I think the jungle pick more than the mid lane pick will be the one that makes or breaks the Bing Chillers draft here.
Yeah, Rek'Sai could always slip into the jungle, what we're kind of expecting it to be, in the hands of Super Chase on that side. I'm surprised to see Bing Chillers going so aggressively into the mid lane pool. I feel like we've seen so many bans thrown at BKP over the course of this series, but it feels like it hasn't affected his ability to play his champions well, his ability to pilot his comfort picks. And I mean, like, there's a certain amount to be said for, like, oh, he was really good on Syndra in game 1, we can't let him have that, and Orianna pairs really well with Warren and Seraphine, we can't let them have that. But like, you only get those 2 bans in the second phase, and if you're using them to just pinch down the pool of a guy who has what is essentially a champion ocean, it's a bit dangerous, as Bing Chiller is something that was getting away from him in the second draft. It's going to be available in the third. The Ari for Dr. Phil and Chile.
I like that.
Comfort pick for him. Again, more disruption, more distraction in the fights, just to allow Twitch to open up and spray and pray a little bit more. Talia's a great pick here, counter to Jarvan wise, just through the rocks. You can stop Warren from ulting.
Talia jungle, right?
Yeah, Talia jungle, Rek'Sai top, and Ari mid.
Yeah. There are no to be Talia top. It's just funny. I haven't seen Talia jungle for such a while that I forgot. I'm like, is that still a thing? Did they nerf that or anything? You know? But good to know. But J4, man. 3-0. I'm calling it 3-0 right now. I'm calling it 3-0.
The desk here for Redacted 3-0 already.
My prediction was wrong. I'm calling 3-0.
I think you are the one who actually said that it was going to be.
I said 3-1 because I'm like, it's amateur.
Right,
They're always, you know, they're always going to play one game like other species.
A bit mean, but you know what? It's not entirely unfounded. People are prone to making mistakes. There will be times where people have, you know, thrown things out of their way and made sure that, like, sometimes it's a little bit more difficult to win games. But one thing that you can do to make your solo queue games easier to win is our final sponsor of tonight and our final sponsor of the AEL Winter Split. It's Pro Comps, a game changer app for the League of Legends community. It's not just like other tools, it's your personal draft coach, perfect for both teams and solo players. In fact, you can even pair it with any other app you use. Pro Comps stands out with features like custom champion pools, personalized tier lists, and live draft advice. You can think of it like having a virtual coach and a strategy toolkit all wrapped up in 2-1. They offer real-time champ and ban recommendations, and they already have over 200,000 downloads and thousands of daily users just like you. ProComps is user-friendly and is totally free, so it's a no-brainer to at least give it a go. You can download ProComps now, and you'll experience a whole new level of drafting power in your league games. You can go to procomps.gg, download it from Overwolf, or you can click on the panel located below our stream.
Nice plug there, Brittany. Very well done. Well done. Because
I am a master at segueing my advertisements.
No, you're good. I'm about to sound like a boomer here, but back in my caster days, when I used to plug the sponsor, it wasn't as smooth as that. But anyway,
as we wait for the client draft to finish, we're going to take a short break here to save our sanity and yours. We're going to take a break while we hop into game 3. We'll see if ID Supernova can finish out this series 3-0 take home their chip, or if the Bing Chillers Emerald can strike back and start their reverse sweep. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Rio.
Gripping with my cold hands, the shapes I used to take, hollow like a strong man, but it's easier to push away, 'cause it could all end here with a straight daylight caught in our eyes, and my shadow is stretching out through all the things I left behind. It's in my blood, it's in my veins. Oh, it's in my blood, it's in my veins. Got my heel crushing the snake. There is nothing you can take. In my blood, it's in my veins. I'm still here. Maybe it's a far stretch that I won't come undone, but I will brave the cold edge to finish up what I've begun. 'Cause it could all end here with the strange daylight caught in our eyes, and my shadow stretching out. Is it all enough this time? I'm still here. All my reasons cut like knives, keep replaying in my mind. All the times I've had to fight, I'm still here. I'm still here.
We are back here for game 3 of ID Supernova versus Bing Chiller's Emerald. And it has been a Supernova series so far. They're looking to shut this one out 3-0 and take home their chip in decisive fashion. But we'll see if Bing Chillers have what it takes to swing back and start pushing themselves for that reverse sweep.
Yeah, it is now do or die here for the Bing Chillers.
Technics. Technics. And
no.
It's not a good start. Exhaust burn flash is traded, but Shady Gecko with the PM takes first blood.
Sybil, you might need to do a mental check on your team. But yeah, that is not a great start here for the side of Bing Chillers. Like, who got the kill? Oh, okay. So J4 got the kill, so it's not too bad. Seraphine got the assist, so she gets a little bit of gold as well. So it's not on the carries. But at the same time, still, you blew your flash. Honestly, you might see Gecko and BKP look to harass Technics now in his side of the jungle.
Yeah,
since he's down a summoner spell.
Flash's Talia is a very, very viable gank target. So if they can figure out how exactly the Talia's going to be pathing, and some nice Qs land from Mystic there in the bottom side, then there's a definite potential for some early pressure. As this is going to trade pretty heavily with Mystics. Press the attacks traded with each other. I do want to point out, we didn't get the chance to talk about it as the first blood went over so quickly, but Mystic has opted for the teleport on this Ezreal, so we're looking for a fairly passive poke-heavy laning phase. We're not going to be looking for any like hyper-aggressive all-ins versus this wrong Twitch.
Yeah, and we also didn't talk about it as well, but the Karma pick as well, right? It is a Karma mid. There was the very, very thought here. Oh no, wait, what?
I think Dr. Village must have disconnected again.
He had to have disconnected.
Yeah. Wait.
Wow, that is sportsmanship.
You know what?
That's respect.
I think Dr. Village was entirely just like mental boomed out of it, disconnected. I'm not 100% sure which, but like
I have the all chat open. I think he disconnected. Yeah.
The respect there for Shady Gecko not taking that kill, top tier sportsmanship, like you said, absolute props.
Yeah, that's mad respect. I'll speak for them, but I don't know about me. I might have taken that shit. I ain't gonna lie to you.
It's the finals.
I might have taken that shit.
It's literal do or die for both of these teams, as Mystic is going to get engaged on the bottom side. Exhaust comes down. They don't have that extra combat summoner. Mystic flashes forward just to perish. 2 T-lights. Spartans is going to flash away, but he's already slowed up. Go Mystic getting a little bit of minion block, though. It might be T-lights picking up 2, but Gecko's here to try and save his support. Gonna look for a bit of extra damage. He's gonna tank up that Broncu as well. No damage coming through from Spartans. It's a nice save for Gecko.
Shady Gecko's really getting yeeted, bro. I can't believe this. I never thought the day would come.
Tactics is rotating, but so is BKP. The punish comes through. BKP will find there first, and Tactics sitting on the ground again.
Yeah. So, what started off as a great thing for the side of Bing Chillers here, Bing Chillers give it and Bing Chillers take it away. And Technics is now 0-2 on this Talia. Does have the gold advantage at least, or not gold advantage, creep score advantage on Gecko, but in terms of actual gold, if you look at the numbers, he does not there. He's about 400 gold behind his counterpoint here, so don't let those numbers lie to you.
So about his first split behind him, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely.
Might actually be in trouble here on the top side. There's a pretty meaty wave here that Super Chase is taking up.
If I'm Technics, I'm taking this kill.
There's that flash. Super Chase doing a decent job, but again, this mini wave is so big, they're going to take a lot of damage trying to deal with this horn. Aegis doesn't have anywhere in particular to go, but I think he's just going to, in protest, lock it down. He might have an opportunity to teleport out.
Use the wall.
He's just going to try and execute instead. He's stalling as much time as possible to stay away. He actually gets it. What a king. Andy Chef at the top side, getting that execute down.
They just can't get a, they can't, give them something, please. It's not fair. They tried so hard on that gank. They deserve the kill. They deserve the gold. Okay?
Well, as some scholars from my time have once said, get good.
Okay, so back on a back on a more serious note, though, before the fighting started, I wanted to comment on the karma once again. I'm gonna try. So it's comment karma. So I was gonna say, do we think it's more of a supportive karma or a
It's almost
tank
for
karma?
sure.
But it's probably damage.
It's gonna be damage at least first item for sure. I
Yeah.
wouldn't be shocked if BKB opts for something like a staff of flowing water second, unless Spartan's already is going to, but it's Malignant's first item for Karma almost always. I think Horizon Focus is a great second item on her, or Leandry's if you're dealing with tanks, but as Super Chase is going to be the only like big tank on their team, I wouldn't be too shocked if it was just like Shadow Flame or Death Cap or, you know, that Horizon Focus I mentioned earlier. You can build pretty much full damage on this Karma. As
Absolutely.
she really is the only like true source of magic damage on her team. Spartans is going to be there doing some, but if the Seraphine is building as supportive as I think she is, which she should
be.
you do have a Karma on your team. You've got an AP carry already locked away. You've got an Ezreal, a Karma, and a Jarvan to support. BKP should just be allowed to build as many damage items as he wants.
Absolutely. As we see the chillers there working on that Mountain Drake, but Gecko and the rest of the Supernova squad have themselves a little of a pincer angle. Mystics will have to. Ooh, why am I? Sorry.
He shifts away, and it's
I
just gonna
defaulted
be
back into my Odoro.
it's just gonna be a TY for Alicia. Shady Gecko's just gonna smite that one away, and I like the look there from Tactics. You have to try and make these plays happen. You have to look for it, but the priority in the bottom lane just wasn't fully there. You didn't have the rotate in mid lane. Dr. Village Hill was already recalled, and it was just a stronger rotate from ID Supernova, and they're just going to take the dragon.
Yep, and that's a Mountain Dragon on the Ornn. So our next Drake will be an Ocean. Ooh, you okay, so
Surely one of these games has to be a cat.
you already knew where I was going. I'm glad you noticed that.
Surely one of them has to be, right? Like, we've been seeing them all season. I've complained about them so much. It will be the one time that I'm like, hey, can we please get a soul for Chemtech? It's gonna be the one game where we don't get one.
Dr. Phil and Chill missing the charm.
Yeah, charm misses in the mid lane. BKB is gonna get a healthy trade, and that's really the Karma mid trade pattern. You lock them down with W, you hit them with a Mantra Q, you grab a couple of autos, and it's just so much health lost to the trade. It's so disgusting. Oh, Flash in. Shady Gecko gets that down onto Goatlista, and with no Flash still on the Twitch, it's just a perfectly timed punish. They lock down the Twitch, and it's another kill over to Shady Gecko.
Really nice play there from Shady Gecko and the rest of the Supernova squad, locking down Goatlista there, getting the Twitch behind. No one likes a behind ADC, but there are some certain champions where it feels even worse when that champion is behind. Twitch is definitely one of them, because you just feel just so out of place when you're behind. Luckily, it's only actually no.
Hold that thought. Here on the top side, looking for a punish on the Andy Chef. He's taking a couple of tower shots, still getting very low, but they will manage to find the kill.
Okay.
PKP, the tower, Dr. Phil and Chill with that Spirit Rush, looking to finish off that last bit of damage. No charges left, still looking to just keep those spells up, trying to get that last bit of damage, but he just can't find it. The shields and sustain from Karma, just that little bit too much.
Quite unfortunate there that Phil and Chill is not able to secure the kill there onto BKP, but I do want to commend the Chillers there for getting a gank completed on the top side, taking down Andy Chef, putting that Ornn in an 0-2 hole. So they are still fighting back despite the deficit they have put themselves in the early game. But I did want to comment on the CS difference, the gold difference in the bot lane. 58 to 82 CS. Actual gold is about 800 difference for Mystic. So Goatlista here is very behind, very much at a deficit here. So we need to try and see the Chillers there get their support, an infusion of gold somewhere, or perhaps put these other carries such as BKP behind and get this Ari ahead a bit earlier so she could roam as well.
This has that spray and pray. They're going to look for some aggression onto the bottom lane. Spartans,
okay, they're going to try.
He's the target. Is going to get stunned up on top of that glitch with a nice flash away from the flip back. It's a nice three-man pull onto that encore, but it's a great cleanse from Goatlista to keep himself safe. Mystic now trying to trade back. Dr. Villachill doesn't have that Spirit Rush, so can't look for a dive. Nice disengage from the members of ID Supernova, staying safe on the bottom side.
Yeah, nice gank attempt from the Chillers here. Unfortunately, they weren't able to complete it, weren't able to get the kill. They almost, in fact, lost their own lives there, getting that close to the tower. The Encore drawing them in, but they were able to get out quite luckily, as Gecko has now taken, I believe he's going to get all the Void Grubs unopposed, as the Charm does Why am I play-by-playing? Sorry.
I've sub-colored in, and as a play-by-play, it's so hard to get off that like instinct of like you see a play happening, you want to immediately jump on it. I get you.
And that was the first Charm we saw Phil and Chill hit.
Spartans maybe looking for some aggression here on the bottom side. T-Lights has the wall, so he's going to keep Goatlista safe at the very least, but some nice damage from the Ezreal. He doesn't have the Arcane Barrage available, so they will just be safety recalling for the bottom lane here.
Yeah, so Technics now looking for a gank here onto BKP, but they did not know that Gecko was here as well.
Nice flick back. Technics looking for some damage with a Mancer Q from BKP.
Wait.
Does its work, and Shady Gecko will say thanks for the free gold. Now 3-0 on the Jarvan.
Wait, Gecko has the Sundered Sky as his first item here.
Oh, yeah.
So we expect to definitely see some damage from this Jarvan here. That was a lot more than I was expecting. That was hilarious though. As now the Ocean Drake is spawning. Technics now in a 3-death hole here. Goatlista is gonna look for something on the bot lane.
And pray, but that's not his jungler behind him. He's got to be a little bit more careful. Has to flash away from the flag and drag. T-Lights now maybe the one in trouble. But Mystic, Arcane shifts and flashes forward to shut down the rat in the bottom lane.
Teleport coming out.
Teleport. Wrong, Dr. Phil and Chill. They're gonna look for a punish here. Dr. Phil and Chill waiting to find that charm. It's an Arcane shift over the wall from Mystic, though. He's gonna sacrifice Spartans to the members of Bane Chillers and say, hey, you can't have me, but take my support. He's free.
Okay, good. That's what I want to see. I need to see more proactiveness from the Chillers. I need to see you fight. Just keep fighting. Just keep fighting, because if you give up, if you mental boom at this point, then that's pretty much the game. So keep looking for picks, keep looking for plays like that. Claw your way back one at a time, one kill at a time. Charm connects here.
Charm, BKP.
That karma damage.
Low. Yeah, the karma damage is good, but the art damage is not bad. It's something you have to respect. That Spirit Rush on very, very short cooldown. Not just yet. Will finally come up, but just after the play is over. If that ultimate was just that little bit closer to fruition, that's probably a dead BKP at the very least.
Yeah, BKP there. This man is still in the lane.
He's hanging out. He's got no fear.
Oh my god. Okay, I mean, he knows his jungler is nearby, but at the same time, wow. Ari's ultimate is up, and she does have the mana. See, that's what I'm talking about.
There's that ulti, and the Mancer Q does not finish off Dr. Phil and Chill this time around. The passive healing coming through, and Dr. Phil and Chill will find his first.
Oh, they're fist bumping. But no, absolutely. I'm glad Dr. Phil and Chill punished BKP here. There for his hubris, one of the 7 deadly sins of a League of Legends player. You know, greed, arrogance, apathy. Definitely some arrogance there, and greed, and he was punished rightly so for that. So
Skik is gonna get exhausted. It's a nice encore onto 2, immediately cleansed from Goatlista. He's looking for some punish, but how do you deal damage versus this shielding Seraphine? Goatlista now exhausted. T-Light's actually very, very low. The one in trouble here, but Technics from behind with the wall is gonna pick up Mystic. Spartans should be the next to go down. It's a nice sidestep from T-Lights. It's 2 quick kills over to the Talia.
Technics giveth and Technics taketh away, but this time he gives himself the kills to put himself at a positive KDA ratio. I would have preferred to him to give at least 1 over to the rat, but we'll be okay with that for right now, as Gecko is now working on the Rift Herald here. So once again, like I said, Bing Chillers, they just got to keep fighting, keep looking for picks, keep making plays, and that's what they're going to do. So I do appreciate that fact that they found those 2 kills on the bot side of the map here. But once again, I would have preferred to see at least 1, maybe even both go over to Goatlista, because he is going to still be a very important member
They're looking
come.
for a punish onto the Rex side
Yeah.
here. I don't know if this is exactly punishable, but they've got Spartans and BKP up here. I don't think you can exactly dive the full tank Rex side, but you know, I appreciate the effort. Someone's making something happen top lane.
Yeah, for sure. As Andy Chef will be a-okay on the attempts of his life. You know? Oh wait. Oh. Yeah, I just realized, Brittany, it is not a Chemtech soul.
No, it's not. We didn't get to see a single one. Well, hang on. It's
You
not,
lied.
It's
You
not.
lied.
It's Hex Tech. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, not a single one. Well, we do still have potentially 2 more games to play after this if Bing Chillers can shake up a little bit and start to come through. It's not look. I will say it's not looking great for them. The early game has been once again domination from the members of ID Supernova. They know how to play their game and they're playing it well. As Andy Chef is actually looking for the 1v2 under his own tower. The Void Rush though should just execute him under his own tower. Now they're looking for an engage on the bottom side. Shady Gecko maybe caught out. Lista has that spray break, but he just doesn't have the damage yet. Mystics over the wall. The Encore is going to land onto Dr. Philchill. They can't find that knock-up on the Flag and Drag. They do find the some Spartans, but they just don't have enough damage.
So yeah, you had said that. I forgot the point you said, but I was trying to refute it. But no, Bing Killers are definitely, they're not out of it for sure, right? They are in a hole, but they're not completely sunk just yet.
I am of the opinion that the game is not over until it's over. And again, while IDS are looking really good, they're playing this game out to their strategy. They have kills onto their Jarvan. They're playing through Shady Gecko, who's been having an incredible performance in this series. Mystic is ahead in the bottom side. BKP is trading well in the mid lane. Andy is playing Ornn, top lane. He sure is playing
Hey,
Ornn.
he's doing his job too. He's making sure that top side of the map
I don't have much more to say about this performance. When
exactly, he's making sure top side of the map doesn't affect anywhere else on the map here, as we are getting ready for our Hextech drink.
Oh, double flick from Tech.
Oh,
Into the Noggin from Super Chase.
Yikes.
This might be the fight that they found. BKP already caught away. Technics is going to force that splash away from Spartans over the wall.
Just give this here, right?
Knocked up from Andy Chef. Mystic now trying to trade with Goat. Lista has that extra level in that Arcane Shift, so he will be able to stay safe and far away.
Just give this.
Yeah, that's been Chillers taking a pick, taking a fight when they're going to take the Drake.
Yeah, BKP died, and that's literally your only AP source of damage, a great source of AP poke, as we know the Seraphine doesn't poke that much. But I like how IDS have decided to pivot to try and take this second. What?
Void Rush onto the back line. Spartans has the shields though, so he's not going to take too much damage. Super Chase just trying to get in and get aggressive. Andy Chef will find the knockup onto one, doesn't get it onto Dr. Villager, but Super Chase getting very, very low. Glacial Fissure is going to keep the fight separated for a little bit. The Technics out of the target has to flash away from the members. Encore 5-3! Spartan sets his team up and they knock him down. Technics is down on the bottom side of your map as well. Andy Chef will fall to the tower. Gold Listen will find one. The exhaust just come through a little bit too late. So Bing Chillers will swing back with one. But ID Supernova take a tower, take a fight, looking to continue to take the game.
Wow, what a fight here in the mid lane. Shady Gecko, I don't know if that was intentional. I'm pretty sure it was an accident. I don't think he meant to miss the tier 2 turret, but he did, and that caused him to get to the fight a bit later than he wanted to. But luckily for ID Supernova, they were still able to take out Dr. Phil and Chill and get the tower. Also, it looked like Andy Chef was autoing some minions, which is why he died to the tower, or he clicked on his shop on accident. But I noticed Ornn was like stutter stepping there for a second.
There might have been a little bit of creep on there. It's kind of the downside of the 6 Void Grubs. You get a lot of extra like tiny things sitting around the turret, and they can definitely cause you to take a couple of extra shots than you want to.
Yeah, but still a net positive in my opinion in favor of ID Supernova. You know, mid lane is completely open for them now. Bot lane has only the tier 2 up left. Top lane still got some work to do, but they are slowly encroaching onto the Bing Chillers side of the map here. So Bing Chillers, I need them to try and find some picks, try to take particularly this tier 1 mid lane turret out. Easier said than done, right? Because it's a Seraphine Ezreal, but they need to try and get vision, particularly around these neutrals. where they can potentially try to maximize their pick potential and make it an unfair fight for them before the neutrals pop off against ID Supernova. Because if it's a full-on 5v5 at this point now, I truly think ID Supernova are just gonna win.
Yeah,
the 5v5.
Yeah, I think the fights versus Ornn Seraphine always get to be so difficult, and you have Braum, who's good at blocking one of those two ultimates, but the issue is one comes from one way, the other comes from the other. You can't block both at the start, so you kind of just have to pray that you can catch the Ornn ulti after catching the Seraphine ult, but it's a bit outside your control. And I will say, ID Supernova have done a great job of layering these ultis at a different time, so you can't get both of them blocked, which has just made their team fight so easy. And despite the fact that Andy Chef is struggling a little bit, 1-4 is not the greatest scoreline that you could ever see. He's still effective in the team fights. He's still making things happen. He's still just a beefy frontliner for his teammates. Exactly what you want an Ornn to do.
Ornn duty is still a relevant duty. Like, Ornn probably is one of the most...
Oh, Technics gets the flick away on the
There's no blood.
Sparks is trying to chase him down. Arcane Barrage from the back. True Shot Barrage. Sorry, not Arcane Barrage, from Mystic. Gonna take him down there.
That should just be Baron for over here.
With no jungler for 25 seconds, Super Chase is gonna spot out the fact that they're doing Baron. They do have a little bit of vision, but I don't know.
This is the All-Seeing Baron? All-Seeing Baron, right?
I think this is the Hunter because he doesn't have the extra
Hunter
eyes. Olista is invisible. He's hiding, waiting for that extra pink board to be taken out. Charm lands on the Spartans. Super Chase is getting in there with a knockup. T-Lights with the Glacial Fissure. This might be the fight that they want, but Golista is getting engaged on. Jumps down, deleted. Dr. Phil and Shield goes. Golista is next to follow. T-Lights is just food. Funeral for the Pyre on top. And it's ID Supernova turning the fight and taking the Baron still.
Yeah, what? I mean, they had to try something though, right? And here they are, still trying something.
Flash away. He's got that Mantra W. You're not killing this Karma. Mystic will go on a killing spree. And ID Supernova continue to advance their lead and are going to start marching down mid.
Like I was saying, ID Supernova, yeah, on the path to victory. Being Chillers, they had to try something. They lost Technics earlier in that pick. Their opponents on the Baron, even if you can harass them off of it without getting into a full team fight, that's still a win for them. Unfortunately, they weren't able to. The ID Supernova team, they're just so far ahead, so hard to kill them, and Being Chillers are just finding themselves in such a difficult position to even claw back into this game here. Like, even getting a single pick is hard because, you know, if you try and attack one member of ID Supernova, there's somebody else around that's gonna respond. So it's just very, very difficult for the side of the Chillers to find their way back into this game. Technics is Technics has had some, you know what?
Chill's gonna look for an engage. They found BKP. Maybe they can finally find their fight. Super Chase very, very tanky on this front line. They found Shutdown on the Shady Gecko. They're gonna get Andy Chef as well. He's tanky, but not that damn tanky. Shutdown is gonna go over to Golista. Spartan's now forced to flash away. Technic's trying to chase him down with that Weaver 12 Mystic, though, trying to kite it out, trying to fight it out. Spartans finds a nice encore onto 4, but you don't have a team to follow up this time around. Big Chillers are gonna look to pick up the Aegis Mystic. You cannot teleport out in front of a red side. Void rush in. No. Super Chase finds the shutdown goal.
What did I tell you about amateur players? Now, that fight does not make this a 3-1 just yet, or a 2-1 just yet. Sorry, let me get the score right. Not yet. But though, that is one of the steps to getting back into this game. Let's see if they can try and take this mid lane turret, because they desperately need the gold here.
All of the forward gone. Nice catch from T-Lights, making sure that one doesn't come through. Next teleport coming in from Dr. Phil and Chill. So much damage. BKP landing that launcher Q onto the Twitch. They're forced to run away now. Super Chase trying to just kite away. I think he's got a tunnel in just a second, but Shady Gecko does not want to let him get away. He's coming in with the flag and drag, the knockups, the damage, bing, bang, boom. Golista's dead. Let's go Lista with the snipe off the True Shot Barrage, and BKP shuts shuts down Super Chase with the Mantra Q. And what looked so good for Bing Chillers a second ago was immediately swatted away by IDS.
Oh, this is very funny. I like how the last 2.5 minutes have been a complete seesaw. We saw idea. Okay, now that.
Oh, Technics.
I don't even get a chance to talk.
Doing his best to defend his jungler. I would say Technics has been having a struggle bus of a series so far. For someone who's been having such a great season overall, this Cheetah Gecko, hang on, I'm not sure that's the engage you want, as he's going to walk away from that. But yeah, for someone who's been playing so well in the jungle and has been having such a great season, seeing a performance like this in the finals and seeing him falter at the final step just never feels good. You have to wonder how his mental is feeling in this game 3.
You know, I don't know. I feel like as much as Technics has had a very topsy-turvy game, I think he's still doing okay in terms of being the engine for his team. Like, someone has to be the engine, right? Because it's not gonna be Dr. Phil and Chill. He's just gonna look for those charms. So Technics has to be the one to make the plays here, has to be the one to try and keep his team together to fight back into this game here. Yes, it's gonna be hard. Yes, you are living and dying by your jungle, but that is the role, that is how you have chosen to play around this draft. So until Goat Lista gets those 3 items, which still not there yet, you know, 2.5 counting the shoes. So Twitch still has a ways to go, and it's 26 minutes into the game. Meanwhile, his counterpart, 3.5 items, lots of lucidity boots.
Yeah, plenty of cooldown reduction for the members of ID Supernova. They want to make sure they're still
They just want to spam all this
time. And I mean, with their comp, that makes entirely the most sense. You have Seraphine, who wants to get those triple procs as often as possible. You have Ezreal, whose whole gameplay lives and dies by pressing Q, and Karma is very much the same way. She wants to press Mantra Q as much as possible. And now with that upgraded Malignance, if I'm remembering the name right, the Enmity of the Masses, it's just gonna be more and more damage coming through from the poke. And Bing Chillers, they have what we would call, once again, kind of a glass cannon composition. You have a tank and a half with Super Chase and T-Lights, but how long can they tank in front of these
Oh my God.
I think
What are we doing, bro?
Positioned. Don't list down, maybe the one in trouble. The nice interrupt from Super Chase to keep the Twitch safe and free firing. He doesn't have that spray and pray anymore. He's looking to get some damage down on the Andy Chef. Super Chase is so damn tanky on this right side. Actually does not take any damage on this hit. A Shady Gecko has been waiting for his engage.
Watch the Twitch.
Has to try and get that engage, but no, it's a nice block from T-Lights to deny the encore, but Super Chase, he's tanky, but doesn't have any damage to follow up in the backline, so should just die after, you know, a certain amount of time as far as this force of flash by Mystic actually getting very, very low on the backside of that fight. Dr. Phil and Chill, maybe can move in and pick, but Mystic predicts it, picks him up, and now Goat Lista, the last to fall. It's a double kill for BKP. Respawn timers are pretty long in 28 minutes. That might just be it.
Well, Britty, you live by the rat, you die by the rat. But actually, the rat this time, I'm sorry, being Technics, not Goat Lista, found himself out of position. And if the game ends here, you can definitely say that might have been one of the few faults that cost his team the game here, as Bing Chillers are looking to make their last stand.
Nice flick onto 3, but it does not matter. T-Lights, now the last defender. The coldness of the Chillers season is but a frosty breath in the face of the Supernova, as IDS are your AEL champions.
Wow. I knew I should have put 3 on my thing at first when QBS was asking me for this prediction. I was like, I want to put 3-0 ID because I was like, okay, I believe in the Gecko and I know BKP, but at the same time, I'm like, okay, it's amateur. They're frauds. You know, so 3-1 to be safe. But, you know, we got the 3-0. Congrats to ID Supernova. We didn't get the ID versus ID finals, but we have an ID team winning a championship, at least the first that I've heard of for this org. I don't know about in other leagues, so congratulations for them. Shady Gecko back-to-back champion that is in the Aegis League. So congrats to him, and what a game. I'm kudos to Bing Chillers for making it this far. Unfortunately, it just you weren't able to get it done at the end of the day. So hopefully you guys can at least acknowledge your growth and your talent and how far you made it, and try again next season if you choose to do so.
Yeah, it was a struggle of a series for the most part for Big Chillers to actually make it to this finals, but ID Supernova proving their dominance again and again and again, and one final time in the finals, they're gonna take home the chip. Congratulations to Iridescent Dawn Supernova.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Brittany, I think we're gonna cut to a short break, right? As we prepare for our interviews with our champions.
Yep, interview with the winning team will be coming up in just a short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. We're here with the team that has won the chip finally here in the AEL Winter Split. It is Iridescent Dawn Supernova. How are you guys feeling after your win tonight?
Yeah, that was kind of chill, kind of relaxed. Like a
Vibe. Feels pretty darn good if you ask me.
I'm not gonna lie, I've been in a couple finals, couple semis, couple playoffs. That didn't feel like a final series. I don't know how Blaskin went to 5 games with these guys.
Not the shade to the sister team, my goodness. But okay.
Oh my.
How much prep did you all put into this series here, or not? Not at all. I know Gecko probably was had a whole draft notebook, right?
I had the scouting plan, yeah.
Yep, there it is.
Yeah,
The spreadsheet. Got a whole spreadsheet.
I don't think anybody really looked at it until like an hour before the game, though.
I
didn't look at it.
Whatever.
Isn't that just like team members?
Okay, so Brady, I'll let you start off with the first question. Actually,
I just want to start off with a bit of a retrospective question. Looking back at your season as a whole, you guys obviously you came home with the win. Are you happy with how you performed over the course of the season? Is there anywhere you think you could have performed better? You wish you had better opponents? What were your thoughts coming out of this season?
I could take it. Looking back at regular season, definitely dropped two big series to Iota and Elysium, making us like the third seed coming into playoffs. I think we definitely could have played better throughout games and scrims. Scrims, I think we probably have lost almost every single scrim we played for the past 5 weeks, so that was huge. Playoffs, though, dropped one game against Elysium, so I guess that was the real finals. But overall, I think everyone really turned it up. We got the Shady Gecko playoff buff, so I don't know how we lost. Or how we can lose, excuse me.
Shady Gecko playoff buff, and you guys showed it for sure.
Wait, PVS, I'm gonna send you something, and I need you to put this on stream at some point.
Oh boy.
Oh God.
Yes, Brittany, you can ask the next question. Sorry.
For anybody else who wants to pick it up, do any of you have any particular plans for the next particular Aegis season, or any particular season coming up in the future? Any plans for continuing your trip throughout amateur leagues?
Sadie, are you gonna say it?
And Shady.
What's that? What was it?
This guy's not even paying
I'm sorry,
attention.
what was the
He's in Gen Chat talking shit.
I was asking to see if any of you had any particular plans for future tournaments in particular.
Yeah, no, this is it. I'm retiring from
Cap.
play, I think. Just maybe casual leagues here and there, but I'm definitely taking a break from, more of a permanent break from super competitive leagues.
Wow.
Are you taking? Is it a self-imposed break or a yeeted break?
A self-imposed break. I got a family to start, and for everybody looking to keep playing League of Legends, I'm 32, so you could do it even if you're old. But it's definitely starting to get there.
But hey, potentially ending your career off on a championship win, a back-to-back championship win, no less, has got to feel pretty good.
Yeah, maybe if we'd gotten out in the first round of playoffs or something, I maybe would reconsider. But back-to-back, I feel like this is what better time than any.
Can't go much higher than the top, can you?
My question for you all is, what matchup concerned you the most against the Chillers? Like, or even if you weren't concerned, like, at least who did you at least were like, all right, guys, this is someone we don't want to get ahead, or someone we want to keep tabs on. So which player did you guys all have your eye on particularly, or was it just a mixture?
Yeah, I think it was always jungle.
Yeah.
As much as Shady is the GOAT, Technics was playing super well throughout all the whatchamacallit series I've seen. And I think that's probably like our worst like matchup if you think about like what Shady plays, what Technics plays. We also had a scrim against them before playoffs or something like that. I think I said it on the other stream before. We got kind of railed by them, not gonna lie. So I was a little worried about that. But yeah, I think we were able to control Technics and it went well.
I played that scrim on no sleep. I'd like to let that be known.
just to add on to what he said, I think that a player like Technics really excels in like a more chaotic environment, and our team, which is why we did so bad in scrims, is like we would just play every play, and then on stage, for playoffs, we're just like, don't do anything, don't take anything close, just play the sure play. And when you're playing carry champs and you can't get ahead in jungle, there's no gold there. So.
Absolutely. I want to go back to game one where you guys decided to camp top lane on that Volibear Shady Gecko, and the Cassante into the Gnar matchup. What made you all decide, let's focus on the top lane? You had a Kai'Sa Taric bot lane, Syndra in the mid lane. So what made you all decide, let's try and get Cassante ahead, even though it was BKP who kept KSing?
Andy, you got this.
Wait, what? We didn't do anything. We just wanted lane gank, I guess, and then he lost flash, and then we came back. It was just free, I guess.
Sometimes if a member just loses flash, you just keep repeat ganking them, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, there's no real gotta camp this guy. It's just he lost flash, and then it was over.
And Andy, you did pretty well there, being the top lane island, that we always hear. So, would you say you're definitely the type of player that like I play to my team's needs? Like, if they need me to play 2 games of Orin, I'm gonna play 2 games of Orin. Or did at some point where you're just like, I'm kind of tired of this, but
Yeah, I mean, I would take the Ord if it's given to me. It is what it is. But I mean, I did get bored starting second game because I'm just sitting there and clearing waves permanently. So
I mean, that's sort of all you can really do versus the Rek'Sai top. She is just sort of, she's gonna sit there, she's gonna gain health, and just can't stop her. So, as a little final note here, I want to run down the list here in Discord and just ask all of you if there's any final shout outs you want to give. So, Andy Chef, starting with you. Last shout out for the Aegis stream. Anybody you want to call out? Anybody you want to say to anything to in particular?
shout out to the Sutek. He was a great draft coach.
really, Sutek.
Yeah, Sutek came in the draft for us.
Wow, my boy.
I guess that's it. Oh wait, I could also shout out Beanie, my other jungler from my other team. He's plays almost like Shady Gecko. Runs it down my lane sometimes. All good though. Shout out to that guy. That's all. That's it.
All right, Mystic.
Mine would have to be also the CTEC for drafting and coaching, as well as
Wow, look how far
I don't know how many people know Epic, but Epic also coached.
Oh, I know
me.
Epic.
Yeah, he coached me in AD for over 2 months there, so I'll shout out to him as well. And then obviously BKP, because noob KP.
Gecko, you got anybody in particular?
Yeah, I mean, you might have noticed that Sutek started drafting for us after the regular season, so you might have seen a little uptick in our quality of drafts. But my shout out is BKP. I wasn't really gonna do an Aegis team this split, and then he said, hey, we need bodies for this tryout for ID, and I tried out, and I was liking the team, so I said, hey, get in here. And then we made it to finals. We won.
Spartans?
Actually, there's I have quite a list of shout outs.
Go
I guess
for
the
it.
first one would go to is to be Mystic. I was just a casual League of Legends player, just like doing my own thing until Mystic hit me up saying, hey, they're doing tryouts for this team. And now I'm up here winning the grand finals, having a championship in Aegis. I mean, that's pretty awesome.
Hell yeah.
So, yeah, I really appreciate Mystic and my team. Suptek is a drafting coach god. Like, he can just read a book. It's just ridiculous. And then also, I want to give shout outs to all the support staff at ID, honestly. Rudy, Godly, Palace, all these support coaches that give me tips and stuff and feedback. I honestly wouldn't be here without them. So just shout out to everyone all around. Thank you, team. Thank you, IDS, and all my friends and family, too.
What's up? I might need to come look at ID then as an org.
Well, finally,
Dorado, we don't want you.
All right, BK, please. Anybody you want to snap it out? Is our last note here?
Yeah, of course. I don't want to be like corny and like add on to whatever or repeat what everyone said, but
Just
I think
Sutek.
Sutek really turned it around for us. I think we were struggling a lot with drops. It really made the games easier to play. And then specifically, the team as well. I think everyone really turned it on during playoffs. Like I said earlier, dropped 1 game. And then I got 2 more. I got Gecko. I think with him retiring, you meme Gecko, you don't meme Gecko. He's been winning a lot. It's like really the end of an era for Emerald junglers. And then the last shout is to Masuf. The guy declined the ID team tryout, and we won without him. So fuck that guy. JK, he's a really good player. And thanks to all of ID community.
I'm dead.
Thank you so much, BKP. And once again, congratulations to ID Supernova.
Wait, before we end it though, I do need to show the people something that I think is very important that they see the preparation that came into this match here. PVS, throw it up.
Oh my God.
We caught the leak. We got the PD. We got the spreadsheet.
Look at this preparation here that my man Shady Gecko, like, some of y'all may have thought I was memeing about this man's prep. It's not a meme. This is real. This is real. Like, if you want to get to the top, you're going to have to put in some effort, right? Unless you're just that talented. And then we're sending the Shadow State after you because you're probably going to get yeeted, okay? But yeah, so congrats to all the ID Supernova winners. Shady is retiring, so that way he won't get yeeted. The rest of you,
I'll be going to Diamond League.
we'll be in touch.
Good luck in
I will
the
be in.
ABL. One final time, congratulations to the members of ID Supernova. And that's going to be it for us here in the AEL for one final time. Thank you all so much for joining us. Redacted, thank you for stepping in for color casting. We appreciate you. PBS,
I hope you all
our
enjoyed it.
producer in the back, making sure everything runs smoothly. I've been What Too Pretty. Thank you all so much for joining us. Have a great night.
Peace.